Thank you. I welcome you all to Manhattan CB1's Transportation and Street Activity Permit Committee for January of 2026. I'm Betty Kay. I'm the chair of the committee, and with me is, besides committee members, Zach Balmer, who is the district manager. And if you go on to the next one, I think quick look at the agenda. We have a fairly full agenda, so we're going to try to move along on all of them. Go to the next one. I don't know what that's doing then. I didn't even enter that one. That wasn't even one of my slides.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes. So for the first item we have will be pilot project and sustainable transport between Red Hook and Governor's Island, as well as December's demo connecting Hunts Point and Pier 16. And here to talk about it, we have Lauren Kessner O'Brien. I'm going to turn the meeting over to her. Lauren, if you'd like to unmute yourself. And
Great. Hi. Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me. And would you like me to share my slides, or do you want to advance it on your end?
Can do it if you just give us when you want them moved, when you want the next.
Okay. Perfect. And apologies. I see I put the wrong date. Got the right year. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today to share an update because we presented last winter around this time. I remember it was a blustery cold evening. So today's a little warmer. So for those of you who might not have been there, I'll give a background about the project we're working on and then share some updates, including, as Betty mentioned, the demonstration that we held in December. So you would see a picture here. The goal of this project is to both deploy and demonstrate maritime plus electric cargo bikes to replace last mile delivery by trucks in dense areas of New York City. So if you can advance the slides, I will share the partners and the structure of the project. So Empire Clean Cities is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a focus on clean transportation. We are the U.S. Department of Energy's designated Clean Cities and Communities Coalition for our region, and are a part of a network of clean cities and communities organizations that span throughout the United States, again, with the mission to support alternative fuel technology. So we support stakeholders in our region with information, technology, and pilot projects. So the project I'm going to share about today is a pilot project. We received funding from the Department of Energy with our partners listed here to try this new method of last mile delivery to address the in last mile delivery since COVID, as all of you, I'm sure, experience around you every day with additional packages being delivered by truck. So we're working very closely with Barretto Bay and Freight Matters, consultants who have experience in government, and with the New York City Department of Transportation, specifically on freight and transporting freight. And then we're working with Net Zero Logistics, a last mile carrier for Amazon and Whole Foods and other businesses here in New York City. And Net Zero Logistics is dipping their toe and really doing a lot more than dipping their toe, using electric cargo bikes to replace their trucks for last mile delivery. And eventually we hope to train a workforce to provide the logistics support needed to do these deliveries. So next slide, please. To give you a background on the project, we started in 2024, July. We ran a pilot for phase 1 between Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and Governor's Island. So you can see on the map here, that's it marked in blue. And in the next couple of slides, I will share more details about how that went and lessons learned. Phase 2, which we have just embarked upon, is expanding the delivery routes. Again, still a pilot between Hunts Point and Lower Manhattan. I will go into more detail in my presentation on that. And then phase 3, which we will get to around this time next year, we hope to share the lessons learned and scale this model to other warehousing waterfront neighborhoods to reduce the number of trucks and congestion that they are experiencing. We also are looking forward to the benefits of reduction in truck travel to improve road safety, reduce noise pollution, and of course the emissions from these vehicles, and to create a new type of job that will have both the training program and W-2 opportunities for the workers. So next slide, please. And before I go ahead, I forgot to introduce myself, so I will pause. My name is Lauren Kessner O'Brien. I am the Policy and Partnership Manager at Empire Clean Cities. So this is one of the projects that I manage, and I'm really excited to share about phase 1, which we successfully ran in the spring of 2025. We worked primarily with one vendor on Governor's Island, a business called Caro Club, but we actually made deliveries for several of the vendors. Caro Club was the weekly customer that we were able to support. So every week we sent this electric cargo bike that you can see here down to their kitchen in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, where they picked up, usually there were 2 or 3 bags of food and beverages, as you can see in the green bag here. And from there, the driver then took the cargo over to Pier 11 in Brooklyn, which is really a stone's throw across the Buttermilk Channel from Governor's Island. They boarded a New York City ferry, and then on the other end in Governor's Island met an electric cargo bike that picked up the food and delivered it to Caro Club. So if you can advance to the next slide, you will see an illustration of the benefit we are seeking to provide here. So instead of a truck, as you can see in the typical delivery here, making this trip, often having to travel into Manhattan to catch the ferry from Lower Manhattan from the Battery Maritime building, we were able to shorten the trip and do it without any ICE vehicle, internal combustion engine vehicle. So we were really excited to do this. We had a weekly service that ran from late May to the end of the summer to Labor Day weekend, and everyone was really happy with how it went. And we were able to kind of work out some of the snags and you know, get our bikes on the road and see how they work, and are now rolling this into phase 2. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Some of the lessons learned here is that at first, with this new mode of transportation, we are really looking for flexible companies that can either be loss leaders or are able to kind of just be flexible with how, as we figure this out. So Caro Club was great. It was more challenging to work with some of the larger companies that are, let's say, working with Baldor or have contracts with companies like Baldor or large food and supply companies, because it disrupts this supply chain that they already have worked out, and they're less willing to take a chance on it. So that was challenging, but we were fortunate to find a couple of companies that were able to say, okay, well, we'll try this out. And we were also able, with the funding we received from the Department of Transportation, to supplement the cost of the service, which was relatively low. But as some of you may know who are entrepreneurs, when you're getting something started, there are just some sunk costs. So we were working very closely with the Trust for Governors Island. We received a grant to which allowed us to leave a couple of bikes on the island and just have some flexibility. They allowed us to use their charging services. We participated in some of their events describing the project and just talking about the opportunities to work under the Blue Highways rubric created by the New York City Department of Transportation and the New York City Economic Development Corporation, EDC, to activate the waterways. So they have, the partners have been very helpful in, identifying businesses and places that might be able to be the early pilot participants. So moving on to phase 2 in the next slide, we are working with Blue Ribbon, specifically a part of the Fulton Fish Market Collective. So there are 27 different fishmongers who work with the Fulton Fish Market, and they've been a great partner who are really eager to try this out. They currently run several trucks from Hunts Point down to Lower Manhattan on a daily basis, and have told us that often the trucks are less than 50% full, but they're, they have to get them in a timely fashion into the city. And so we're hoping that we can not only reduce the emissions, but also optimize some of the resources so that we're not sending empty trucks into the city. So what you can see here is the route that we are planning and that we demonstrated on in December, and I will get to that. So if you can go to the next slide. Is the next slide the same? That might be a mistake on my end. Yeah, and this is just to show you, as a part of the Blue Highways Initiative, EDC and the company ConAg have been building a barge at Hunts Point, a floating barge that will be able to support the transportation of construction materials that ConAg is using, as well as cargo from the Fulton Fish Market and other businesses too that we're currently reaching out to about this next phase 2 of the pilot. So next slide, please. So on the 17th of December, we had a demonstration trip, again, on the route that was just shown on the map, where we worked with Blue Ribbon. We had 8 boxes of seafood, which is a normal truck delivery for them. And we were able to get the seafood onto this ship. The ship is run by U.S. Coastal Service. And if you go to the next slide, you can see that these pictures are Hunts Point, and then on the other end, we had our bikes waiting for the U.S. Coastal Service ship called the U.S. Caribbean, and the goods rolled off onto the bike, and then the bike drove them around, as you can see, the tin building here, and made the delivery. So it was a very seamless and easy and I would say photogenic experience that we hope will encourage other vendors who are part of the Fulton Fish Market to feel comfortable trying this out when we launch a regular service this coming spring. So just to identify, this is Pier 17 that you see here. So next slide, please.
Okay.
So this is our team at Empire Clean Cities on the right. And the next steps, as I've discussed in the presentation, are to bring more customers into the service so that it makes sense to run 3 to 5 times a week, and to try different commodity types. So we're reaching out to all sorts of vendors at Hunts Point right now, and hoping to scale the level of delivery. And then ultimately collect lessons learned and data on the cost and the time and the emissions, and then share that with groups like community boards, industry groups, government agencies, and share recommendations from our learning for how to scale this type of a delivery mode to reduce truck travel, specifically into congested areas of New York City. And that concludes my presentation, I think. Yeah. So you can reach me, Lauren, at the email here. And you can find out more about Empire Clean Cities and this project on our website, which is also listed, empirecleancities.org. And I'm happy to take a few questions. I know you have a packed agenda, so I'm not sure how much time there is, but I'm happy to answer as many questions as there's time for.
No problem at all. In fact, I'd like to start with a couple of questions of my own. One being the obvious one of the blue ribbon, it must be refrigerated. Was this a pilot that allowed you to work with refrigerated cargo bikes?
Yeah, great question. So the grant we applied for is going to support the purchase of refrigerated electric cargo bikes. Because we held this demonstration in December, that gave us some flexibility. It was obviously very cold out, but also the Fulton Fish Market often just uses ice and has containers that are refrigerated that fit onto the bikes. So if it hadn't been cold, that would have been fine also. But yes, moving into the future, we are waiting for another order of bikes, many of which are refrigerated.
I just have one other before opening it to others. And that is the route that you used was the bike path on the East River side. Do you have any plans did you have any conflicts, first of all, with other users, typical users of that path? And if so, or if not, do you have routes to use anything other than the bike path when traveling along that?
Those are motorized bikes.
Yeah, and they're motorized bikes, right?
The pedal assist.
Yeah, they're motor assisted bikes, and there was no one else really out. The paths were clear. And we are planning to do this quite early. So the exact location and times are still to be determined, and some of that will depend on the currents in the harbor. But that wasn't a problem this summer during the pilot, and we don't anticipate it being a problem. You know, it's something we're mindful of, and will obviously we plan before running the pilot on a regular basis to check the routes. But as we have already done, we haven't found, nor do we anticipate there to be a problem with congestion on the bike path. It's a pretty, yeah.
Before, I want to tell everyone else before we move on that next month we have the EDC coming to talk about the Blue Highways and the plan that they have out. So some of the questions that you might have may be more related for that. And so I want you to realize that's coming next month. Aren't questions probably that Lauren can or will want to answer.
Mhm.
They're EDC
Thanks.
questions, but they're
Yeah.
related. So Justine and then Sue Wells.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, Lauren. This was great. So your bikes, I don't know what to call them, your cargo bikes, right? They're gonna be both at the pickup place and the delivery place, or no? They're only on the delivery side?
To be determined. They're not going to go on the boat. That much we know.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it did work out for this December pilot demonstration that we had bikes on both sides, and it worked out really well. So I think that is something that we may continue doing.
Okay, I mean, I know it's outside, I know it's outside of our purview, but on the other end, I think one of the issues is gonna be when you're up to full scale, how many cargo bikes are you gonna be having? Do you anticipate running? And, you know, in winter, when it's freezing, I certainly don't expect there to be a crowd of bikes, the people on the bike path. But, you know, when it's beautiful weather, there might be, even early, people tend to go biking and do their exercise biking before their work day starts and after, but.
Absolutely.
Second year of a pilot.
Oh, you know, I know it's just starting. But I'm looking at it as a really, it's a cool thing, so don't get me wrong with my questions that
No,
I'm
but
trying to like kill it.
I want you to realize
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I just want to understand it and make you have some awareness, Lauren, and your team that, as you go full scale, which it sounds like we really want to do, we may have to come up with other plans, which then goes to EDC or maybe the DOT. Thank you.
Yeah, so those are excellent questions. And I want to emphasize a couple of things. First, the training the drivers is going to be fundamental to this project. And so safe bike riding practices is like rule number one. And, you know, these are W-2 employees. So they are responsible to their employer to maintain certain standards, and that we take very seriously.
And you're the employer, Lauren?
We are
No.
not. We're working with Net Zero Logistics, and they are the employer.
Sorry, okay.
And they're a large company who operates throughout the Northeast. So, you know, this is not new to them. And they're already operating many electric cargo bikes throughout the city right now. And so they have protocols in place for safety standards. And I also wanted to just mention, we're looking into other locations as well. So we imagine that, you know, if we're working with the Fulton Fish Market, I can't imagine we'll need more than 5 of these electric cargo bikes. Each one can hold up to 800 pounds. So they're really quite strong. They're motor grade. I can't hear you, but I see the.
That's okay.
It's like
I'm
pantomime.
thinking of the 800 pounds. Sorry. Didn't realize
Yeah.
that was a business. Sorry.
Yeah. So they're quite capable. And we imagine to run this pilot, hopefully, in at least 2 locations. We're also exploring an Upper West Side pier. But I encourage you to discuss this with EDC, because expanding safe bike riding paths is a priority for the city. And it's not really under the purview of this project, but obviously something we is important to us. We're paying attention to, and but generally, you know, as we try to kind of shift away from heavy internal combustion vehicles that are both dangerous and pollute a lot, it would behoove us to not improve bike structure, but bike infrastructure.
And I'm correct, Kate and Zach, the DOT is not ready to talk about this yet, correct? This is so early in the pilot phase.
Planning to join the February meeting and.
Oh, with EDC?
Yeah, EDC.
Great, well, you can ask some of those questions about the use of city streets, which only the DOT can really allow.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Cody, was your hand up?
It was, but you basically asked my question. I was just gonna follow up with our guest, and ask, you know, or as you think about safer, more expansive bike infrastructure to accommodate these guys, because I think this is gonna happen really quickly over in various companies. People are gonna move towards last mile delivery that's, you know, carbon free. And so I would hope there's a conversation going on to encourage the DOT to anticipate. This is going to be coming in the next few years, probably. Just, you know, in the same way other things, forms of transportation have happened really quickly before we knew it, we weren't prepared. So.
Wait, Tammy?
Thanks so much. It's really great to hear some of the updates. One of the things I just kind of want to note is the ferry that goes out to Governor's Island is not actually part of the New York City ferry regular service. The ferries that serve Governor's Island are Governor's Island ferries. So are you, when you're on those ferries, in the cargo area that they have in the center of their boats? Just
to clarify, during phase 1 of the pilot, we did use the New York City ferry, not the Governor's Island ferry, the one that runs between Brooklyn's Pier 11 and Governor's Island. to be honest, sometimes we're the only ones on the ferry. At first, they were reticent to allow us to use the ferry, but then we demonstrated that we did not have sufficient cargo that even we would need like a cart. So we were able to just carry the bags by hand. And so they said that that was fine. So no, we didn't use special cargo service. We did test out bringing on some carts and attaching them to the ferries to see if that, if we had had more cargo, we did explore the opportunity of, paying to have a ferry exclusively for the use of the deliveries. We didn't end up needing to do that, but for this next phase, we're not working with New York City Ferry. We're specifically working with this company, U.S. Coastal Service, who is trying to really get ahead of the game and be central to the Blue Highways development. So is very interested. As I mentioned, they're a flexible partner who is,
Okay.
yeah.
I have 3 more questions.
Okay, go ahead.
One is, it seems to me a lot of back and forth, and I don't understand why. If you're loading from the Fulton Fish Market, you wouldn't currently, it loads directly into a truck and the truck makes multiple deliveries. You said that you load it into boxes and then the boxes travel by, and then the boxes go from place to place to place, and then they get loaded into the cargo bikes. Why wouldn't you put the cargo bikes on the ferries so that, in particular for something like fish, and I'm thinking of a 85-degree summer day, not a 25-degree winter day, you don't want it exposed to temperature change. And especially if you're a vendor, you want it on ice from the point of where it's loaded into the truck to the point that it gets to your store. So why wouldn't you try and reduce the number of transit changes, not in terms of where it's packed and how it moves?
Yeah, that's a great question. And at this point, there are questions of licensing for bringing the cargo bikes on the maritime vessels. So that's the main reason we're not just bringing the bikes directly on board. But frankly, it really was not that labor intensive.
I'm not thinking, it's not the labor, it's the products, right?
Oh, but the products are in secure refrigerated boxes. And then in addition to that, we have bikes that are refrigerated. So it really isn't a problem.
Are you unloading the box, you load the boxes, or do the boxes just fit into the refrigerated trucks?
The vendors at Fulton Fish Market prepare the boxes. They are refrigerated containers. And then we pick them up. Or we don't need to pick them up. They bring them to the boat. They drop them off at the boat. The boat then brings them down the East River where they meet our electric cargo bikes, and a deckhand brings the bags or the boxes off the boat and puts them on the bike. Then we drive the bike over to the tin building or wherever the final destination is.
Okay. And why wouldn't we be looking at potentially having the bikes licensed? And obviously you said all the drivers are W-2, but, and again, this is going to go back to DOT and EDC and law and everything, but I wouldn't understand why this becomes, as we all hope it would, an incredible boon to get large smelly trucks off the street. We wouldn't actually put these on the street instead, right? Instead of on the pedestrian, to put it on the street where it follows the traffic laws and it is a traffic moving vehicle versus in the bike lanes that were not designed for cargo, right? The bike lanes were initially designed to be greenways and for people on individual bicycles and moving people, not moving cargo. So why wouldn't we be looking to ensure on the pilots and everything else? I mean, it's lovely that you're there at, let's call it 5 o'clock in the morning when there's not a lot of people going around, but that's not always, and that's not necessarily safe. We already have a problem in New York City with bicycles on sidewalks. And if I understand correctly, Pier 17 actually, I don't think that that's included in any potential future Blue Highway from what I've seen from EDC. And my suspect is that has to do with the large amount of pedestrian interactions around Pier 17 and not wanting to have that kind of a conflict.
So to start at the beginning of your questions, the issue or questions around bike infrastructure is not really something I am working on. And we are in close communication with DOT and EDC, and it is something that they are spending a lot of time thinking about, and will be a part of how this Blue Highways equation comes together.
But aren't you directing your people to be on the bike lanes versus in the streets now?
That is correct, yeah. And
So,
again, we see it not even, you could call it the lesser of two evils. I mean, trucks are infinitesimally more dangerous to pedestrians than these electric cargo bikes are. But
But
again,
an 800-pound bike
yeah,
on somewhere where there are more pedestrians versus an 800-pound, and I'm not calling it a bike, it's an 800-pound moving vehicle carrying cargo belongs in a street. It does not belong where an individual bicyclist is. It's just not, and I'm not understanding why the pilot isn't trying to use the streets to help us then produce a better plan for the future on the streets. If you're only piloting on the bike lanes, that's not actually helping us take an expansive look at what you may look like. I would love to see you piloting with street traffic. Because right now, I'm sure it might be faster than other things because you're not following traffic laws if you're on a bike path and a greenway that's designed for individual riders. But you're a cargo, an 800-pound moving vehicle with cargo, which belongs in the road. So my question, as you advance through these pilots, is can you move into the roadbed and get off the bikeways?
well, I will say many of the bike lanes we used during our first phase of the pilot are in the roads. Most of them were a part of the roads. So yes, our the bike did travel along the bike paths that are located inside of the traffic roadways. And I think as we develop this pilot, we will explore different pathways and what makes sense, considering safety and pedestrian use. And so, yes, it absolutely is something we are considering and taking into account.
Because I would say you are sustainable transportation for cargo. You don't belong on the bike lanes. On the greenways, you belong following traffic laws on the streets. And if you're in a bike lane on a road and it's a shared road, that's great. But the dedicated bike lanes for people who are individual commuters like a Zach, a Cody, anybody like that, I don't think that an 800-pound moving cargo vehicle belongs there. I'm sorry. And if there's any way in your future pilots, you can take a look at it, that would be great. I understand why you're on the greenways. Less traffic laws, no speed limits necessarily that people catch too. Less traffic, I get it, but in the long run, for an expansion of it, then we lose, as an individual members of the public, a place for recreational bike riding because it's a cargo thoroughfare with 800-pound moving vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely something DOT and EDC are working on as they are developing this idea for Blue Highways, which is very nascent right now.
I get it, but would you put your 10-year-old on a bicycle if it's gonna, when there's an 800-pound vehicle? I wouldn't.
Mhm.
You get to your third point.
My third point was licensing. How does the licensing of the vehicles work?
You know what? I have to get back to you on that and check with our partner who is working on the electric cargo bike procurement.
Yeah,
You have that for next month.
thank you. I apologize for all the things. I just think of what it's like, for New York City kids don't drive in general. They learn to ride bikes, subways, and buses. And so to get from point A to point B, and you look at the huge rise in city bike users, I find it a major conflict to be establishing a commercial route on what was built for supporting bike traffic, not commercial traffic. And with that, I close. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, and Eric,
Yeah, so this, I think of it as a vehicle. So you had said that this has a payload of 800 pounds. So if the payload is 800, the operator is at least 150. The vehicle itself will be with an electric motor and electric battery. I think this will definitely be over 1,000 pounds. Looking at the bike, I'm concerned that there's only one wheel in the front and it's very narrow, especially when making turns. Have tests been performed so that when making turns, the front wheel doesn't easily slide?
Yeah, so two things. One, these are in mass use in other parts of the world for delivery by companies like FedEx. And, if you go to Amsterdam, you will see them zipping around through the streets. So they have an impeccable safety record. Also, the next shipment will be four-wheelers, or a combination of them. So we're trying out both the three-wheel and the four-wheel cargo bike design. Sorry, I lost the question, but I just did want to say that these.
Okay, and then my other question is, what about when it needs to go in reverse, like the backup? How does that happen? Does the operator have to push it back, or is there a reverse, I don't know, switch? Or would it have to turn around?
I would have to confirm with our partners. When I've seen it in operation, it just kind of does a circle. If it has to go in reverse, it goes very slowly. It's not like a car where you just shift it and it backs up.
Because then if it goes in reverse, then since it has that big box behind it, the operator won't be able to see what's behind it.
well, it's.
That's what I'm saying. There is no, it functions like a bike in that, like, the person would have to walk it back. So when I've seen it have to go in reverse, it actually just makes a circle. Yeah.
Yes.
Things are different now because it also has 800-pound payload. It's more difficult to push.
Yeah.
What can I say with riding a scooter myself? First of all, what was amazing to me is that 3- and 4-wheelers are equally stable or unstable, however you look at it. And yes, they weigh a lot less, but nevertheless, it's surprising to many people that something that's been tested for so many years for people with disabilities is there's no difference in the stability of a 3-wheeler versus a 4-wheeler. It surprised me as well.
No, but if you have to slow and you're making a turn, the front wheel will skid more because it doesn't.
I drive in my house and I care about the walls. Believe me, nobody knows this much better than
Rally
I do.
against.
Believe me,
I've
nobody.
never seen them skid.
No, that-
And as I've mentioned, they have a perfect safety record as far as I have read. So,
They
we
do.
were riding on icy surfaces and they handled very smoothly. And they don't go more than 20 miles an hour. In fact, I've mostly seen them go at a much slower speed.
The speed limit, the New York City rule is 15 miles per hour maximum for commercial cargo bikes.
But New York City, we have hills, gently sloping hills, but even in Lower Manhattan, we have hills as well. It's not all flat land.
I'm just telling you, the speed limit is.
No, but I'm just
15
telling you
miles
about braking if you have to turn on a curve. It's not your apartment where everything is flat. That's one point.
Do you think I don't understand this? I have no idea. That's why I'm always staring at the ground. But are there any other questions? Otherwise, thank you, very informative, and we look forward to hearing more from you and hearing more next month as well to find out where they're directing to make way for you as well. Oh, and just one final question. Did Clean Cities participate in the one that was on the Upper West Side
With Dutch X.
with Dutch X?
Someone from Empire, the executive director attended the groundbreaking or ribbon cutting event that happened. But it's a very similar model, but we are not directly involved with that project.
Thank you. That was my question. It's interesting to
Yeah.
know.
I'd reach out to them. They would probably have an interesting presentation to share. I would be curious, I obviously we cross paths.
Yeah, no, it may be interesting, especially after next month, because the trial last for Dutch X was on a working ferry pier, which would be, if they go into Pier 11 here, would be that kind of similar thing. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for all the lessons that you've learned. I look forward to learning more from you.
Well, thanks again for inviting me and for your very thoughtful questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's wonderful, yeah,
Lots more for you for next time.
yeah.
We can move on because we have both Phil and Karen Chan.
Taste of Tribeca.
There's the next slide. Zach always has to fiddle with all the controls, sorry. But yeah, this is about the street activity permit. It is the 32nd Taste of Tribeca. It's going to be on May 16th, a Saturday. It will take place not only on Greenwich between Duane and J Street, but as you'll hear, it's also on Duane Street itself, between Greenwich and Hudson Street. And they hope to hear some questions about they're going to be putting their stock on Staple Street. So that will be closed. They'll be affected as well. I need to join.
Is that new?
Let's hear from them. We'll ask, but anyway, we'll have Phil and Karen come on and do their presentation.
Well, thanks so much for carving out some time for us. We appreciate it. I will try not to take too much time. It's one of those things that we could talk forever about, but we'll try not to, I promise. My name's Phil Chenery. I'm on the board for Taste of Tribeca. I'm one of the co-chairs, and then Karen Chan, who's on the call too. She's one of on our steering team, and she manages the permits from all the various different organizations and agencies that we need permitting from. So she's pivotal in making sure we meet all the right requirements as we move forward. I'll just give you a quick overview of what the event is. For those who don't know, I know Betty, you've been through some of our walkthroughs in the last few years, I know, and I'm sure many of you others have been involved, but it's an annual food festival. It's held on the third Saturday of May every year, and this is, as you said, this 32nd year is coming up this year, which is exciting. We feature about 50 Tribeca restaurants. It's exclusively Tribeca restaurants only, and there's some additional local business sponsors and community partners that help with sponsorship and some of the other activities at the event. The next slide, please. This is a volunteer-run event. The entire event is volunteer-run. So the only ones making money out of this are any of our vendors or partners, and like New York 10 and those kind of people that we choose rental items from. All the steering team, the board, everyone are volunteers that are from the schools, from parents of the schools. And the primary purpose of the entire event is to raise financial support for two local public schools, PS 234 and PS 150. The event itself, as I understand it, I wasn't here 32 years ago, but the event, as I understand it, was created by some parents of 150 way back then when PS 150 was an early learning center, and those parents were restaurateurs. And so they gathered together, the 3, 4, whatever it was of them, and pulled together this little festival. And because it was Tribeca, 32 years ago, that money was designated for the arts enrichment, which is where it still sits, is to go towards arts enrichment. Each school, uses it how they see best, but that's what it's for. But that's not the only goal. That maybe is the primary goal, but additionally, we want to provide community recognition for Tribeca restaurants. It needs to be a win for them as well, of course. We want to aid elementary-aged kids and families to feel connected to their community. It's one of the fewer events that the schools can run, which gets the kids out into the community and actually doing something with their neighbors, not just the Taste Give Back volunteer opportunities where we cleaned up the park this fall, and we'll do that again in the spring, clean up both those parks. But actually on the day itself, the kids are able to get involved and see what it's like to actually own something and work for something for your school and have a sort of a party in the community. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot of last year. That's an aerial view map. It's not to scale, but that's the sort of artist impression map of the event footprint, and that we've used for the footprint that we've used for the last few years. As you can see, Washington Market Park there at the top. The event itself, it raises somewhere between $100,000 and $160,000 that's split evenly between the two schools. The last year was on the lower end of that. The 2 years following COVID were on the higher end of that. Attendance to the event is free to the public. You can walk through the event, you can take part in the activities. The soft drinks that we've got available from vendors are free. Tickets are sold to partake in the tastings. So last year we sold about 1,500 tickets, which we think is around probably about 3,000 attendees if you think about foot traffic through the event. Each ticket gives you 6 tastes from around the festival. So most people, families are going to share, like our family of 5 would buy 2 tickets for 5 of us, that kind of thing. We had 42 vendor booths and we had 6 activity zones last year. Next slide, please. We do try hard, especially over the last sort of 5 years or so, to minimize our impacts on the environment, because of the event is big and it can create a lot of mess. So when I came in, 4 years ago or so, they'd already started this move of making sure everything was recyclable or compostable. That move is now done. All the plates and dinnerware, forks, knives that are all compostable, they're all wooden now, and that kind of stuff. We have a street sweeper come through early in the morning. Department of Sanitation basically do on the last bit of their round that night. And then again, after the event is closed, they come through and clear up. Garbage, recycling. Last year, we introduced composting as well as a separate entity. It was a challenge, as you can imagine, but in some ways it was easier than recycling, because once recycling gets contaminated, it's a real challenge, as you know, to manage. So it's another learning point to navigate properly and make sure that it's done well and effective. But it was a really good trial last year. We're hoping to continue that this year. As I say, with all the plates and eating utensils being compostable, that makes a bulk of the trash is just compostable and can go straight into those receptacles. We have a refillable drinking water station, rather than handing out lots of bottles. And starting last year, moving forward, we used an electric generator to remove that sound, that constant generator sound, which is hard to handle for a day, for sure. So that was a big change that was really, really helpful. Which brings me actually to the last slide, which I know there was some concerns, valid concerns about noise, particularly last year. And so what we would like to do this year to mitigate that is begin the setup, which does happen in early hours, with the larger structures, which involve the forklift for those big weighted ballasts and how they put those tents up, alongside Washington Market Park. So start there. So then when they're moving some of the items into Duane Street a bit later on, it's not quite so early. We've decided to remove the live band aspect, because that wasn't an element that was very, very loud. What I was disappointed with last year was the sound check, because it was a new generator. I think our sound technician wanted to get everything working and running and tested really early on, like before the event had started at 11:30. And so he was blasting music quite early, and a couple of times, can we bring that down a bit? So this hopefully will mitigate that by removing the band, which is hard to control volume wise, and also will help the community, we hope, in by providing a platform. It's not a stage, it's just an entertainment area for more local groups to perform and showcase their skills and art. Hopefully some of the college and church music and those are often involved. We want to utilize Duane Park itself this year as family seating. So keep that area more sort of clear, just so it's more of a respite space. I can't promise silence, but a place where it's a little bit of a break from the crowd, perhaps, for those that need that. And as I say, we have that silent generator. I've whizzed through a very big event that we do once a year, so there's a ton more details, but I could talk forever, and that's probably not helpful. So I'll turn it over to how I can help you guys best by answering some questions.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I want to congratulate you on getting composting started last year, because it was very new to the Department of Sanitation. We really didn't know if you'd even be able to pull it off last year at all. So that was quite something. But are there any questions in the room? Eric?
Public restrooms?
Yes, so we rent some public restrooms, the porta potty type ones. They used to be years ago located, I think, on Staple Street, which is not ideal for anything really, but definitely not residents. So now what we did last year was located them sort of at the end of that city bike run on Duane Street, which was actually much better. It was easier for drop off, easier for pickup, and it wasn't next to anyone's residence or anything like that. So they were dropped off late on Friday and then removed once the event was done. And hand washing stations too, of course, for the bathrooms and then for the restaurants as well.
Sounds like some great changes.
So
Justine?
just, because you mentioned Staple Street, was that always part of the footprint?
Well, it was, from what we understand. Now, what I will say, my caveat, this event's been going for 32 years, and as you can imagine, with parent volunteers, it gets handed over, piece by piece, various years. I've been involved for a few years, and our team looks like we'll be around for a few more. So we should be able to stabilize some things. Lots of stuff get lost in the mix, and as some of the processes of permitting has changed, we've discovered things that maybe weren't done that should have been done. So Staple Street has, I think, been used for storage or for parking the trucks from New York Town. It's where they wait for the event to finish to clear up and stuff. We've not added it to our permit until this year. We're not going to use it for the event, but we just thought we would formally ask that this is what we intend that space to be for. And so let's make it on the permit. Everything's, you can expect what we're going to do, et cetera.
Yeah, thank you so much. What a great development. I can remember participating, I can tell you how long ago. Not 32 years ago, how's that? But it's wonderful. Thank you.
Can I follow up on that too? I was reading the application and it said that on Staple Street, there would be no pedestrian traffic because they couldn't get a 15-foot clearance for emergency vehicles. That's what it said on the application. Is that true that the sidewalks will be open, but not on Staple Street?
That's correct. All the sidewalks will be open across the entire event. We won't have anything on the sidewalks. We're just on the street itself. Staple Street, the same really. We'll have those trucks parked on Staple Street. You can walk down there. You can walk on the sidewalk alongside the building. But it was just to really make clear on the permit that we weren't intending to put any part of the active event on that street. That's what we were trying to just make clear.
Thank you for clarifying that. Carrie?
Yeah.
And then Tammy?
Oh, hi Phil, Carrie Parker
Hi.
Davidson, friends of the park, and a resident at 55 Hudson. I think you know this already, but the back door at 55 Hudson is it is the loading door for package delivery. So, so we can coordinate, but the trucks need to keep that clear. And if they can keep a vehicle lane for passing for people who need to come and load up and then get through. So I can introduce you to our super and we can make sure that that happens.
Okay.
But just
Yeah.
mindful of.
That sounds great.
and-
Yeah. And to that note, just for bringing up access, there is another garage on Duane that we always make sure is available, and the parking garage on Greenwich always has access out. So if anyone does ask, oh, well, my car's going to be in that parking garage, can we get? Yeah, there's full access out of that garage and back into it. The police will help us with that.
Yeah, and then the one other thing we'll coordinate is the back door of 171 Duane, that's their accessibility, their elevator for those floors is there. So it's kind of a little bit of a Tetris situation.
Okay.
So I'm happy to meet with you guys afterwards and make sure that those stay clear.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Tammy?
Phil, can you just give a little bit more color? Because the reason why we were trying to meet beforehand were the emails that we got about the construction noise and the car alarms at 4:30 in the morning on the day of the event. So that's what, these are people who love and support you, but would like to be able to sleep through the night. So I'd love to hear a little bit more detail on what you mean by when things will be moving and when things will be delivered, and whether or not you've extended, for example, the permit so you can load more in on the 15th. So you're not, or you know what I mean, or the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, great questions. What I'll start with is saying that the footprint of the event and the basis of the structure of the event, the timings, all that kind of stuff hasn't actually changed in a long, long time. But as I sort of mentioned before, we're trying to pick up on some of the things that maybe had skated through. So we did add that earlier time on the permit because that's what we actually have been doing and not realizing that wasn't, admitted to. So nothing's changing in that sense. It's just being, let's be really clear about what the plans are. The construction noise last year was particularly loud. I'm not sure why. I did bring it up to New York Tent, the rental company, and asked, like, do you know what was happening? I think it was that particular driver was just very excitable early in the morning. It's basically they have to unload their truck, obviously, and they drop things in various places, and then they build the large structures. The large structures are the ones that have these huge concrete ballasts that have to be forklift over. Most of the other stuff is all by hand, so it's much quieter. It's just that first little bit of unloading on Greenwich, and then building that big tent that goes alongside Washington Market Park. Why it was quite a lot louder last year, I really couldn't say. I have talked to them, and they have promised to look into how they can make sure that the order of unloading works so that it's not by the residences and that kind of stuff. There really shouldn't be a need for large forklift or multiple forklift driving up and down Duane that early in the morning.
It sounds to me, though, that they're still going to be loading in at those hours of the morning, and that the company is just blaming one particular driver. But what the complaint said when it came to us was, through the process of what they were setting up and when they were dropping, it was setting off the car alarms of things that were parked there. So it was a combination of things, that it was the unloading and the cars that were already there, that the alarms were then being set off by the unloading. Now, one driver does not make a difference for that. So the only thing that's going to make a difference is if you change the loadout times, or you have all the cars removed prior to setup. That's why I asked if you were looking at changing any times.
I'm surprised that, and I'm not trying to counter, I just surprised that that was causing the car alarms, not the NYPD towing cars, because they do that before we set up. Of the street, what's it called? Closure signs go out the week before, and the police help us with that. But early in that morning, they start towing. As soon as they have a tow truck available, they'll start moving those cars, which will set off some alarms as they pull into the nearby streets. I would have thought that's probably more that issue than it was the forklift, but I don't know. But yeah, but they only had one forklift with the crew, so there isn't multiple moving at once.
I mean, yeah, I think what I'm looking at in the photo that was sent to us, which was the dialogue that we talked about over the summer and coming into the fall, was the people setting up of the tents and the big truck that was there dropping things. And there were multiple trucks. It doesn't appear to be just one. And it could be the drop off. Yeah. It could be the drop off of the porta potties. It could, because that was around the same locations. Yeah. It could be multiple truck drop offs. And so again, my question is, and I want to be sensitive, because I know it's all money going to a nonprofit, which is tough, but perhaps there could be no drop offs before, between midnight and 6.
But there aren't any.
There were last year at 4:30 in the morning. They were fully setting up.
So the New York Tent get there early, and yeah, they get there when they get there, when the traffic looks like, and all that kind of stuff. And they do start early. They have multiple trucks. Sorry, I misspoke. They have multiple trucks. Only one forklift that is the one that beeps backwards and forwards, and they would, with the backup sound. But there are multiple. They have, I think, 2 or 3 larger trucks. The porta potties, we get them earlier on Friday, and there are no other deliveries until like the ice and the restaurants come, which is much closer to 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So it is really just that one vendor.
Okay, I mean, I just needed to bring it up because we talked about it, it came out, and people who are supporters of it were asking for some kind of flexibility. So I don't know what conversations you've had with that vendor, but, I'd be saying that I'd really love not to hear back from people again, because it's a great event. It's a fun time. Yeah.
Tammy, are you suggesting that maybe they have the cars towed in advance so the alarms can't be set off? They're gonna have to be asked to move them the night before.
I mean, I think they should be moved before midnight the night before, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, is that a possibility? I wasn't aware that was a possibility through NYP. Is that a thing we can ask for?
I think you can put up signs and you can put out cones. You know what I mean? And
which we typically do, and then by the morning of, I know one year there was maybe 2 cars on the entire footprint that we need to move, and then I think last year there was a few more. It just depends on, you know how it is in New York. People park their car for a few days and then they're going to leave it until street sweeping day, so they may not notice that there's a sign goes up and all that kind of stuff. But we can definitely try harder to make that clear the days before.
Thank you.
I think sorry. This is Karen. Just in my conversations with NYPD for the past 4 years, our team posts the signs quite early and we make sure that they're very visible in the neighborhood. We don't want to tow any cars, but every single year there's always a number of cars there. And so my concern is I'm asking NYPD to come tow midnight, they're most likely going to have to come tow again in the next morning at 5 a.m.
Oh, because new people will park. That's what she's saying. Okay.
But we could ask NYP not to tow anything on Duane that early, because the Duane Street setup is not as involved as some of Greenwich Street. Whereas Greenwich, they need to
I have a
bigger construction
recommendation.
tent, but the others are not.
Sorry,
Yeah.
jump in, because I've been patient. What I would recommend is, I know this is a big event and it's asking a lot and it doesn't necessarily have to be you, Phil, but it sounds like what we need is the person on the ground from the organization, which then can advise, say, hey, vendor, you're being too loud, we've gotten complaints in the last, can you not drop
Absolutely.
this from 50 feet in the air?
Yeah,
That's what I
absolutely.
recommend. That would probably need to be there, honestly, probably the entire night. They can also, not that they're security, but can also encourage others to not park there, to point to the sign and say, hey, you're gonna get towed. That sort of thing. So just somebody from your organization to be on the ground and not dependent on the vendors, because the vendors are coming from all over the boroughs. They don't care. They're just trying to get the job done. You all are part of the community. We want to support you. I think that's what would help. And then that can help resolve this. So it's going to suck for 1 or 2 people to be up all night.
Yeah.
But hey, we're trying to make y'all that money. Fine.
No, that makes
Phil's
a lot
our
of sense.
yeah.
I
Phil's
usually
there
get
at 3 a.m. in the morning.
usually more like
Well, it sounds
4:30,
like
but
I need you there at midnight.
But
But
early, yeah, no,
another
I
question would be, sorry, it's kind of like flew by. So no PS 150 is in the neighborhood. How did the other school become involved? Because when I looked it up, it looks like that's a Brooklyn school.
No.
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 Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's 234 and 150 who were both,
Yeah, they're right there.
you know, bracketing IPN at some point, and then 150 moved down.
I thought
to
you
the
said
bottom.
254 and that.
No, 234.
Okay, that's
No,
all.
234.
That's all.
The only other thing I
Yeah.
wanted Phil to know is that, that particular weekend is also a big weekend at BMCC, which you probably know.
Graduation?
Yeah, unfortunately, it hits like a big weekend everywhere. It's the Brooklyn Half Marathon. It's all kinds of things, which is it's always something. But yeah, it's we're happy to work with anyone who needs us to work with them to make sure we all win. But I realize.
I'll let it's actually Downtown Dance Factory's recital weekend.
Yeah, it is.
So it's
It
a
usually
local
is.
thing. Yep. Okay.
And then. Yeah,
So
Karen,
in summary, I'll certainly
Oh.
speak to NYPD to see what the latest time we can tow off Duane would be to try to push the towing and some of the crew movement on Duane Street later. The porta potties we have dropped usually Friday afternoon during business hours around 2 p.m. So we'll go through the schedule of drop-offs and things like that more thoroughly.
And I'm on site usually, but not maybe quite as early as I need to be. But I'll make sure I have a stronger voice in what the noise level is like, which wasn't last year. And I should have stepped up a bit more and said like, hey, this seems louder than it usually is. What's going on? But I will make sure that that's in place.
All right, so my last recommendation would be
Yeah.
to talk to your vendor, because I ran that sanitation street closure for about 7 years when I was at 234.
Yeah.
So I did the script for that piece. So sometimes the vendor shorts you on staffing. Make sure that they
Okay.
don't short you on staffing. That's when they start dropping.
Yep.
Because they're rushing. So
Got
make
it.
sure to add an extra staff person and tell them
Okay.
that there's a bonus for quiet.
Hmm.
The other thing that you can
That's
do,
helpful.
I think the NYPD, a second tow is not operationally going to work for them And I don't think the residents, it's not the towing, it's the dropping.
It's a drop.
Um,
Okay.
Like, as I've said to you guys, before, in my capacity as Friends of Dwayne Park, I can send around the block update email to remind people that, you know, the event is coming and not to park their cars and all of it. So, just remember to follow up that.
Thank you.
Yeah, will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justine.
No, I'm not raising my hand. I'm saying yes, thank you.
It's like, so, oh, say Rosa, then.
Thank you.
Finish.
Hi. I actually just want to say, Phil and Karen, thank you so very much for doing this. I know it is an insane lift. You get no appreciation. It's like so much work for so much time, and you are up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Thank you from the community for doing this. I think it was Wendy Chapman was actually one of our, who is on the community board, started this, like the original. So I love that we all come together in support of our kids in this community. You are doing incredible work. I wish you good luck on your SAPO permit application well in advance so that there aren't issues. But just, you know, kudos. I don't know how many pats on the back you're going to get, but it's definitely not enough for the amount of work that you do to support these schools and our kids. So just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rosa.
Yes, no, thank you. And in fact, I do have a recommended. Look, it's easy to work with. You can rip apart what I say versus start. from
Could you
scratch.
say real quick, there's somebody on the phone, and if you wanted to raise your hand, you're on the phone, it's *3. We'll give you that opportunity if you wanted to do that now.
Hand's not up.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know how. It's hard on.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I just say,
Go ahead.
why are we not opposing, how about we say we support, or is that just the language you need to use? I'm just, no big deal, I just asked.
The language, it's often done, much as the liquor license
Okay.
committee does. To say, look, we're not going to oppose it, because as soon as I say we're going to support it, all we need is one person stepping up and saying, I don't support it, because I don't like the noise. of my
Okay,
block."
okay, fair.
Do we really oppose it and want to stand in the way? And I think,
We're actually in the SAPO permit's gonna say yes, though. I mean, we have for
well, probably yes.
30.
I think this wording is safer, much as the liquor
Yeah.
committee.
Whatever, yeah,
decides to
fine.
do and say,
Yeah,
we're not going to oppose street activity permit.
Right.
And also, again, as Rosa had said, we recognize the importance of the event
Yeah.
and thank the organizing committee for doing this for so many years.
So how about I call the question?
It's just-
A second.
Yeah.
Jack, would have to take for the vote.
We can just do by affirmation, or do we have?
That's all by
roll call?
confirmation. No, and there are 9 of us here. So are there any nays? Any
What is it, abstention?
abstentions? Any recusals? It's unanimous and thank you.
thanks, guys. Good luck.
Here it is, Bill. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'll be in
job.
between recitals going to.
I know,
to
it's like you're
try
going back and forth, yes, oh my gosh.
We'll give Zach a moment to register the
How
vote.
do they organize with the farmers market? I mean, I know they do it.
There's the farmer's market is Sunday, the
Sunday.
17th. Oh, it's Saturday. Phil, do you cancel the farmer's market?
No, they have.
No, we work with them to just, they shuffle down a little bit and it works. And we talk to them ahead of time and we navigate it with them. It's not their favorite weekend for sure, but they
Yeah,
work
but
with
they-
us, we work with them, and we make it work.
All I remember is leaving DDF, going to Taste of Tribeca, coming back to DDF, like back and forth.
Thank you, water.
All right.
Yeah, they get water, oh, that's a good thing, right?
I
Exactly.
say, Phil, sell them on that. You get water and that's.
It used to be on J Street, really on.
Yeah. It was so small when it first started.
No, it was.
Cute.
It was
We move
just
on to the next item.
between Brennan.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Avenue.
Thank
So we're
you.
gonna talk about- Thank you. We're going for a bus stop for the NYU shuttle. It's gonna look familiar to you. To the next one, but we did get a letter from the DOT asking, so that starts the clock for us responding. And I heard that, in fact, if we just say it's okay to continue, we're okay, but a resolution is gonna work better. It's gonna be the same thing. Anyone did approve Academy Express, which is this very bus company, for the use of this particular bus stop to do this particular NYU shuttle service. 44-1, so it was an overwhelming vote. on April 22nd, or April 2022, it was April 26th.
That was the full board vote.
That's a full board vote from,
44 to
so it's just coming up again. Go to the next one. As you can see on the street, you know, Lafayette Street, you'll see the bus sign off to the right. The school bus is just parking because there's space there. They have nothing to do with this.
And there's a dorm there, right, or something?
It's on the next block.
But they're already, are we just reapproving this? Because they already stopped
So
there.
just to clarify.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And, it's okay. So we sent CB1 a request for a bus stop application for NYU back in 2022. The NYU has not been using that stop for shuttle buses because at that time in 2022, we sent it to other community boards as well because there were other stops along the route. The other community boards did not opine at the time, so the stop ended up not being established, and I think there were also some changes to the route as well. So NYU recently came back to us with this, so they have not been using that location for the last 4 years.
Well, does that mean that they're,
Make it muddier for you. Sue.
Oh.
okay.
This is the bus sign, as you can see. Right now, Big Bus is the only name on it. NYU would be added to it. So it has been operational all along, but this is what's operational, not MTA. Next. This is the particular bus, this is one of the bus routes. This is NYU's shuttle service. This is the B route, as you can see at the upper top, the B route. And if you look down with it's indicating where it is. The stop, it's for the dormitory. There's also Route A, which has this also on the same route. But it goes to a different point at NYU. The location it goes to on NYU is different. That's why there's an A and a B. And there's a Route W, because on the weekend, A and B collapse down into a shared weekend route.
It's one of them.
Yeah, A and B collapse into it. And this is the NYU's website on 80 Lafayette Street. As you can see, they stop in front of the dorm, which is on the next block. 80 Lafayette Street is one block south of it.
And that's
So
what they
maybe
have
they're
been
just
using.
stopping.
They might be just.
They may have just. been
Trying to
stopping.
make parents far happy.
Oh, okay.
But this would pull them off of potentially doing double stops. They'd have a curved space, but it's one that we approved in the past. So again, recommend, it would be easier for us to pass a resolution. Nothing has really changed in the interim.
Call question?
Yes,
Second,
By affirmation, are there any opposed? Are there any people who are recused? Are there any people who vote in abstention? Then it's unanimous and thank you. Let's
It's a new year, folks.
We're pushing things through easy, right? No fighting.
Agree on everything.
But it's an old resolution.
bite
That's-
your
yeah.
tongue, don't jinx us.
Yeah. That's a good one.
There's another easy one.
Justin President now.
Yeah, I'm looking, right.
Never fails, that's right.
It never fails to annoy people.
Wait, two-way tolling on Verrazano Narrows Bridge. This, we don't have to do, it's canceled. It was implemented in December 1st, 2020. So while someone, the public asked us for this and they're trying to lighten up congestion on Canal Street, the MTA thought about this 2 years ago in response to R2, when CB1 had resolutions in 2019 and 2020 asking this very question. As soon as the law passed in 2020, it was changed. So we don't have to do anything with this.
That's already passed, so it's,
It
why?
is two-way tolling. So why-
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
I mean, so we're done.
The original goal was to push more traffic
Yeah.
off the tunnel.
Right.
Yeah.
And onto the Brooklyn side. We already have enough in Brooklyn, we don't need more.
Yeah, fair.
And what about Fulton Station? Is that
That's
canceled?
next up.
Keep going.
You
Yeah,
got too excited.
just in case people are interested. Okay, let's do the notification of the micro hub because this is just the order it's in. And this is an installation and it's for Amazon, so do you know who is going to be utilizing it? It's on South Street between Fulton and John Street. Next. And here to show you, there is a letter from the Borough Commissioner asking for this location. Next.
Hold on, can we read the
Yeah,
letter?
let's read it, I'm sorry.
Come back, can you go back?
That's what it says. I mean,
60
just-
feet in length. 25 feet reserved for vehicle.
standard.
I mean, I just don't know. Micro hub.
Yeah, so it's a curb lane one,
Well,
which is what we asked for.
it, It's a really good question considering that it, based on what they're saying, it's also in the path of the planned resiliency measures.
Let's continue on with that, because the resiliency is hardly scheduled at this point, but nevertheless,
It's under a separate project, it's not Five Eye Seaport. It's not the Five Eye Seaport master plan, it's a separate one that was actually funded
Under the FDR.
Oh, yeah, that
Keep
little
going.
piece of
west
it.
side of,
around the historic Seaport district. Seaport,
Right, because that
this
was,
is block
Mhm.
that it would be on.
Which side?
It's gonna be on the west side, because it can't really be on the east side.
Is that the Fulton Street Market?
No, that's Imagination Playground.
Right, to the left. So John Street is directly ahead on the left side of this, and down the other Fulton Street is down at the far end of the side, looking.
okay,
down the
behind
street.
us, okay.
And if you go to the next one, there is no, the signage along the street, there are no parking regulations or anything like that.
That's a very old picture.
Well, I said, go to the next one. But get it more directly on, this is where you can see this, you saw kind of a break, this is more looking directly onto the break.
And
But
where
it's-
would they be loading inside that
Is it on
mess?
South Street or is it in the,
This is, we're standing on South Street looking,
Where's the micro hub gonna be? Behind the bollards?
no,
Not yet.
where those cars are parked
Where
there,
in the
or it could be on the left side, they don't say, it's gonna be closer to John Street, which is to the left on this.
isn't,
It'll be closer to Fulton Street, which would be to the right where that black.
isn't that lot the one that the South Street Seaport Museum is developing?
The one,
I
the
was
blue?
told by Catherine, who is on the board for them,
Isn't that?
only that they use that, she thinks, for the loading and unloading, so they use it. And they have control over those bollards to go up and down, so don't block it, and those have to be considered.
I would rather not talk to Catherine, I'd rather talk to actually
Well, I was talking,
Jonathan, who actually runs the museum.
I was talking to her about something different. And
Catherine doesn't know the operations
we-
day to day. Can we talk to
Something
Jonathan?
different,
Kate, were you gonna add something?
15 minutes before I left to come here,
Okay.
let's put it that.
Kate,
Yeah.
were you gonna add?
Yeah, so, we'll be on South Street, in the curb lane where the black car and the silver car park. Sorry, I didn't realize this was added to the agenda this evening. I would have seen if we could have had our freight mobility
Yeah.
folks join.
We only have
So
45 days, and we
I
can't
don't
get,
think we added a time on the letter for this,
they're always 45 days.
but, all right, from December 20.
So next month is too late.
Unless you wanna come back and send them over for exec.
Any purpose?
Yeah.
Existing curb space to provide a protected area for sorting.
I guess the question is more, is that what you want, Tammy?
I would rather make sure that we take our time to ensure that we don't say yes to something. My concern is only that when you're looking at that lot, that is the expansion location for the museum that has their seed funding. So I'd want to hear from the museum if they are building on that lot, how soon are they building on that lot? Because we could say yes to a pilot that's not gonna be able to go because it's a full construction site. And I don't know unless their team tells us, oh, we've spoken to the museum, they're not working for another 2 years. This is only a 2-year pilot. Like, I'd wanna know, I wouldn't wanna say yes and then have the museum come back and go, but you've known for 5 years we're planning on building out that site. We brought you plans.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just asking if you want it scheduled for executive.
Yeah, I would,
Again, this is just paint and it is this is the second year of the pilot. So yes, it's a
Right.
pilot and this is. second
Does it
year.
matter if they spend it? Like, what are they gonna be using it?
it'd be a construction site.
But they
I-
wouldn't get
so-
control of the sidewalk or the street.
Yeah,
Well, they might,
They
be,
would-
yeah,
they
they'll
would-
use it for their
of
staging.
course, for construction, they would get rid of the sidewalk. There'd be a shed that would cut that sidewalk off. Or maybe the other side.
Right, cause we gotta walk.
Well, let's just ask the questions.
Well, I was gonna ask the
Let's
question,
be,
but you're right, it's quite a ways down. with these
let's
things.
make sure that we've asked the questions, we've ensured everybody fits nicely in the corridor and we can get this done safely for
And-
everybody.
I think they got home earlier. Don't complain.
That's what I was gonna say, was that postponed till?
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to confirm people's availability if they're able to join for exec committee. But in the meantime, I can certainly ask if we've already consulted with the museum. I know we've consulted with the market, the store on the corner that's there.
Well, that would give Tammy time to contact them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I ask some basic, they're probably stupid
It's
questions,
South
but I
Street
don't
and
know.
Fulton, right?
South Street,
John.
between Fulton and John, between John and Fulton.
So question one, that's probably done. A micro hub is basically like loading and unloading. They dump their stuff, they have to load up and then they take
The
their,
truck pulls up and then, yes, they move from the truck to the cargo bikes.
and then the cargo bikes take them and go
Right, and it's painted lines on the side.
on the sidewalk.
Of the curb lane.
So that's question
Is
one.
there any infrastructure beyond paint?
No.
No, it's just,
We're exploring adding edge objects like, large granite blocks, plastic delineators. We're still figuring out what's the best way
yeah.
to operate.
Right there. They can put-
And then go back to that with the
The
blue,
movable blocks, like the
Picture
picture
with
you
the
see a
blue.
painted bulb out on
with the blue
the
fence.
sidewalk extensions.
Alright.
Sometimes you'll see a planter or a large block.
Where is
We
the
have
museum
on.
living out there? No.
Hold on,
right?
shh. Can you let her finish?
So it's, my understanding it would be a painted extension, instead of where the parking lane is, you would have that area painted.
Maybe it's like the plastic things that you can roll up with. Yeah.
So, so when Jeff Bezos comes up to this hub and getting ready to sort stuff, and there's inevitably a car parked in there, is there a special procedure that will be available to get these cars out of there?
Yeah, in the same way that we had with the other micro hubs that we approved, right?
We're-
Don't we have?
They have one in front of,
First one for CB.
Right, we
Whole
talked about,
Foods.
like, we only approved potential locations.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, you gave us.
But yeah, not actual.
So they're not to be using the sidewalk, right? So it doesn't impede any of the pedestrians coming down the sidewalk, going to Imagination Playground, right? It doesn't impede any of the cars which are traveling on South Street because it's a narrow lane.
Mhm.
It's just the parking lane for, and how many cargo bikes to truck? 4, 5, 6?
I will have to check.
But
Well-
we did
Right here,
suggest
very
it.
much.
What happens when people park in it? Because
Yeah,
we have painted areas now, daylight.
Well, then you may need bigger barriers.
yeah, I'll have to check with our Great Mobility team, how they've been handling that, at the other pilot locations.
I think that the back and forth was that in this, what we didn't love, which was that there's probably a good chance that there would just be a continuous truck there.
It was, but it also was, I checked these resolutions too. One of the things that came up was that the space where the large truck comes in, that if that could be used for, parking to be maintained when the truck was not around, such as in the evenings. So the construction of the area for the cargo bikes would have to be contained to protect it, not necessarily where the truck is.
And the
The
truck
truck
doesn't
doesn't-
idle, right?
It should,
Not supposed
They're
to.
not supposed to.
Citizen enforcement if it does.
Uh, That E thing, yeah.
yeah, you're gonna have the next, so we'll just, look, just to remind you, because it's gonna go to exec anyway, so I don't have to worry about it. when we're up. You
Oh,
recall,
thanks.
they suggested one on North Fulton, north of, like, Cliff Street. But keep in mind, what our request at that point was Amazon was one of the trucks and groups that was there and in the way, double parking. And so we had said, we realize we still need some kind of micro hub, but let's move it down towards South Street. And we're okay with the curb lane. So it is, we did acknowledge a need in the area.
Significantly happy it's not going there because we have a new construction site coming in.
Well, those are other factors, but I just want to let you know what we did say what the DOT had to look at while planning themselves. Next one. Yeah, so this was also from the resolution, what it said. So it is consistent there. They picked Amazon and it's going to be in the area and it's servicing the areas John Street and Fulton Street where we admitted there's a need. Next. And also for South Street by Dover Street, we were okay in general with South Street. So in general, if there aren't other things going on, South Street in itself wasn't necessarily.
Except for a large water main break this past weekend.
Yeah, right.
Aside from other issues that could come up,
Yeah.
we weren't, but this is what the DOT had to look at when they were planning. Next. Yeah, and then I was told I had to do this looking down on it,
Yeah.
again, to show Imagination Playground,
That's
to
a-
show where the locations are, because it's a different way of seeing the spacing that you can.
I think that's actually my favorite photo.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so it shows you, yeah, the,
Yes,
yeah.
and don't worry about it, because Zach has access to all these slides, so he can get all these pictures. Use them for executive, well, if you want anything for executive.
Yeah, it's just to be able to have the question.
Cars get in there, like, beyond the bollards.
They said she
Those go up and
She
down.
thought that they go up and down.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Seaport Museum had the control over them.
And where is the,
Carrie has a question.
okay,
She has her
sorry.
hand up.
If the timing didn't work for exec, would it be good to at least take the temperature here about support? Because it seems to me if construction's not gonna start for 3 years, they could do the micro hub up until the time that construction needs
Yeah.
that space. So we could write a resolution that approves it, subject to relocating the hub
If
at
the conditions change.
at the time that those conditions
Well,
change.
you said that we're in the second year of the pilot. This is 3-year pilot.
No, it's a 2-year pilot.
2-year pilot. Well, I think it said 3 maybe.
Might be.
Did it in the letter say?
3 in the letter.
Back to the letter.
I think it's
Not my-
3 in the letter, but then like, so there's 1.5 years left. So when construction is gonna start when, like, so I think it's
That's-
time wise.
It's just timing, but I want to make sure that the museum, yeah, we want it to, the key is to have it to be successful.
Right.
Right? It's a great location as a start to see if it works. And so we want it to work, let's ask all the questions to make sure it's like, ooh,
So to your point, it seems like temperature wise in the room is we support as long as it does not impact potential construction coming from museum timing.
and then the trucks don't idle.
And
We
Is
would
with it.
support it
Yeah,
with the understanding that DOT would remove the hub,
that's what I thought. Okay, what's behind this button?
This one?
right? Why not do the
Well,
resolution?
but you also need to know if the bollards go up and down.
This way?
Yeah.
East. No,
Why do we need to know that? The micro hub is on this
Oh,
side.
no, go to the next slide, please.
that
Wait.
thing, right there. That's a building,
The
right?
one conversation, because the community can't hear.
That's right.
Oh, thank you. That's good.
This is originally what
Upside
they
down.
suggested.
Yeah.
Again, and so
Yeah,
the
we're
word
trying
will
to-
change that you want to suggest.
Justine and you guys, because I've been listening online for the last couple of, from time to time, I know when there are multiple conversations in the.
I can't hear.
No one can hear anything. It sounds like a jumble. So mindful of the community's need to hear everything. So I don't want to miss what you were asking, Justine.
Oh, I just was asking specifically where things were, like where was the museum gonna work? Where was the museum in the pictures? And Jess showed me, that's all, because you guys know, I just wasn't aware.
Yeah, Tammy.
So I think we could potentially draft the resolution here. So when Kate and the team come back for exec, we are actually ready to go and we can say the temperature in the room, the majority, and I think we'd probably be at majority, approve the pilot because we have a year and a half left. We definitely want to see it in action. We definitely want to see it work. Here are the concerns that were raised at transportation so that Kate and the team can come back and say, yes, the museum said this, yes, the bollards do this, yes, Amazon has been noted that they are parking right next to a playground, they have to be off the sidewalk and not idling. I know it sounds dumb to have to repeat it, but, and I think that if we got all of that together,
Also the resiliency too.
Mhm.
You wanna ask the
Oh,
resiliency.
but the resiliency.
and the resiliency, thank you. I'm like, I knew there was something else.
Yeah.
Rhoda
Yes.
has
There's there's one more thing, which I just want to bring to mind, which is that with Imagination Playground, I think anybody who has utilized that space in the last like 5 years knows that it is in crap, sometimes literal condition. And so there has been an effort in the community to try and get that park renovated. I don't know what the current status is of that effort. We should check. Maybe also requesting a touch base with Parks Department to see where they're at. The last I had heard was that they were holding off on things when they thought that the resiliency work was going to get started. Now that the resiliency work is all up in the air, I mean, they can't leave it going forever because it's literally falling apart and so like it's growing mold and moss. So I'm hopeful that we're able to make progress. So just making sure that it's coordinated with Parks Department and neighbors as well. If that is something that is moving forward, then that is also going to impact that block, obviously.
With that.
You know,
Sorry?
Yes, we should have, since there are two agencies, the agencies should touch base with each other. And DOT should come back to us and let us know if Parks Department has told them whether or not Imagination Playground would be closed during the time of the pilot.
Yeah.
Because that actually could be a win, win.
Yeah.
Right? Have the pilot rolling, the playground being repaired. That could be an awesome win.
Nice things.
Nice, Roseanne. And maybe if not, Amazon would really want to take down, and fund.
The
Oh, sorry.
repairs. Oh, yeah, shocking, right?
Oh, maybe can we make that a stipulation that they can only
Yeah.
have the micro hub if they fund the renovations simultaneously for the playground?
Did everybody do their CB1 training this year?
Well, can I also just confirm then, we're taking the temperature, we are not voting on a resolution in this committee.
Another comment.
Well, Tammy's going, so I'm not sure.
This is not an appropriate place for a micro hub. The Seaport Pier 17 they have venues, large number of people congregating, passing through. And when an event lets out, or on weekend days where there's events, there's cars dropping off people, picking up people. Adding this micro hub with e-bikes going around, and it's adding more chaos to South Street.
Eric, can I give you a clue about if you look, have you been to Whole Foods? Remember, people were gonna be killed if they were cargo bikes and making deliveries there? Do you ever see do you see that much activity or any kind of danger?
Well, I'm not talking about that place, I'm talking about this place. There's a lot of activity here, summer days, and then also especially when a venue lets out, or
I'm
even.
talking about deja vu. I heard all these same comments back then.
But I think what your concern is, the best way to accommodate that is a 1.5-year pilot. Because, wait a minute, let me finish. It will take us through the event season at Pier 17, and you will actually be able to see how they work together. If it's a
Disaster.
if it's a disaster, then DOT knows this is not the best place for this, right? I mean, this is the same reason why my understanding Pier 17 does not want cargo bikes and Blue Highway is because it doesn't work for them on their property and around their property. So they are not continuing with that pilot, like going back to the beginning. So this location being slightly south of it and on the west side of the street, and no one's necessarily in that playground in the evenings, could be really viable. So, I mean, it's only an hour, it's only 1.5 years. Let's try it.
The history of pilots,
Right.
once Amazon, a private company, gets exclusive access to public property, they're not gonna.
I agree, they don't back off.
Right.
That much I agree. I agree.
We still have active parking going on currently,
It's
so.
happened in other parts of the city where they backed off and they're like, this ain't working for us.
Right.
Do you know how
Everybody,
far,
everyone can vote the way they want.
do you know like the radius of like how far they'll be doing deliveries from that point, or is that up to them?
I believe it's within a mile, but have to.
That's all the CB1, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
basically, yeah.
That's where it's like.
Saying, keep in mind, there already are Amazon trucks unloading in that area.
No, I know.
So they can't be going too far because they're doing it on hand trucks.
Yeah.
So there must be quite a
Is
bit.
there a way to take to have that kind of have resolution and take a temperature in the room without fully voting?
Yeah, I think we
I think
could.
that's what we are looking
Strong
to do. Yeah.
Yeah, straw poll.
Yeah, no, that's why I said, I thought I was confirming it was that, not a
Did he vote?
resolution.
No, I think no, because it's code here.
Okay, because I looked and I was like, he's gone.
Well, I
Oh,
think-
yeah, no, his stuff is here.
Can I get some input on the wording for it? Although this is not what we're exactly voting on, but you should have some idea what we're voting on and may get some guidance for what the
Temperature.
executive committee decides to move from, away
So
from.
it sounds like we are in
Look better.
support of this micro pilot.
What do you think of the wording of this?
Fine.
Therefore be it resolved that the state is not opposed.
If not-
I think you need to say that it's a pilot,
Yeah.
because installing a pilot
Yeah.
does not oppose the pilot, the New York City DOT pilot to install a,
Micro hub
for, what'd you say, 1.5 years?
Yeah.
And we didn't.
for the
for up
remainder
to,
of
right,
For
3
the,
years.
for the remainder of the existing
pilot.
pilot. For up to 2 years.
3. The letter said 3.
Yeah, but they're already in.
They're already in your.
Already been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for up to 2 years in case it gets extended, and then we'd like to hear data and feedback at the close of the pilot, right?
Yeah, definitely data and feedback so we can opine at that point. If that would be a second, therefore be it resolved, say.
And then there's just lots of questions that we hope the DOT comes back to us about. You know, what they know for coordination from resiliency, the park
Right, and those could be the
construction,
whereases,
the
right?
museum, the bollards.
Confirming
Parks with the
Primary.
playground.
destination of, delivery.
And how far the deliveries are going.
Well, I was gonna say, those are things that you want to hear before.
Yes,
Yeah.
before we decide, but that'll be in the
That's-
whereases as we get that.
But I don't know how much, some of that may be done at executive.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Right, this is all the stuff that we'd love to hear at exec.
So we have the answers.
But
and-
this isn't a resolution that's gonna be done before executive, because
No.
executive's gonna be before the board meets anyway.
Correct.
So
But it
I'm always looking for this as something that the executive board, executive committee could look at.
Correct.
Which is this.
And I would, one other thing to add or to note is that, in the whereas is that the pilot provides for, I think it's commercial loading during the micro hub hours, but then there's residential parking.
Yes.
On hub hours.
Or there's whatever, I don't know if it's called residential parking, but there's parking,
Actually,
not metered.
That was
It mirrored, why not?
that came up when we first talked
Right.
about it.
Because you're taking 2 to 5 spaces
It can't be in there.
Sorry.
No.
Hold on, so we're running out of time.
One, yeah.
where the truck would go.
hold on, Justine.
So the aspect that I'm raising is about the parking and commercial, the sharing of that public space, right? So when we had this in June, we talked about having commercial hours for the micro hub, and then residents could park in that space off hours.
No, that isn't what it says. That's why I reviewed it and said, what we said, this is going to be somewhat enclosed. Also, it's being paid for by Amazon. So people who say it's public space, it's being paid by them. The
Okay.
private parkers are paying nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But what was put in was where the truck parks, because that goes in and out. That just unloads things and leaves.
Right.
But that could be used. And so we could certainly ask that again. The DOT did not respond. So I don't know what their position is. I'm not going to speak for them.
I'll have to get back to you on that
I
one.
was
Okay,
gonna say,
then
but we
I'll
can certainly ask
drop
them.
it all together. I just thought if it was something that we had in the resolution previously and we had provided for that additional parking, we should note it.
It was for where the truck is, yes.
Where the truck is,
Where
yeah,
the truck
Truck
is.
would be. right.
would be. That
But
which
not
is
where the
fine.
bicycles are, because the bicycles have infrastructure that prevent any cars from parking there.
Right.
To make them safe. That makes sense. That's what,
But the
yes.
commercial, but the truck part, yes, as long as we can support residential parking.
At some point, yeah, giving something back, because we're
We're
taking,
not giving something,
well, we are, it is public space today.
On delivery.
it's not really, yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, it's
I
mean,
think.
All right.
Exactly with,
All right, so, okay, all right.
not
Pursuant to
exactly
what
space.
Carrie's saying, let's not,
I would agree, yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
I support what you said.
I think if we straw polled it, right? And assuming that, I'm gonna assume that DOT comes back with, oh, yes, we spoke with A, B, C, D, E, and F. And here's our plan for this, and if everything came back exactly as we have said here, I'd be in.
Yeah,
Yes, and I will word this, therefore be it resolved to match our other micro hub support, which had something about parking. I'll take the wording from that. and put it in.
Again, a pilot.
yeah, you gotta make sure it's
Yes.
a pilot.
So
Permanent pilot.
No, no, no.
The paid for pilot.
The
I
paid,
like
well,
the
right,
paid
yeah.
for pilot.
these things can
That
be
only
changed
one
at
person
that meeting.
entity can use. Yeah.
All right, we still got one more. left.
And he knows.
Oh, do we? I think
I'm
we
gonna
do.
straw poll.
I think Eric's one more.
I think Eric's a straw poll, isn't he?
No.
Are you a no?
You're a no, yeah.
And anyway, everyone else is a yes. Maybe have you straw poll.
There you go.
Eric.
We have nothing else.
And that item is done.
Yeah, no, there's nothing.
Are you sure? Ask Betty. Do we have more resolutions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one thing.
No, it was supposed to be postponed, but if there was time and if you're willing to look into it, I was beseeched again to please take this on. It won't be that difficult.
Oh, now I know who was
You to
beseeching.
say yes or no, because postponing it a month isn't really, it would be better to not postpone it a month if it.
So now let's go.
All right, let's just do a
What?
quick conversation. What's the?
This person put up some suggestions for this.
This
resolution.
is
They're very
Catherine.
serious. Yes.
Catherine has talked to us before about this.
Yes, and I've brought this up in the past about it too, and at that
Yeah.
time, people did not want to do anything. But I think it is really straightforward and pretty simple in some ways. But anyway, repairs are needed at the Fulton Center to address safety and quality of life concerns, including, and then there's a list. I have some pictures of some of these things so you can see more of this, what it looks like. This is the Fulton Center. You can see some of the scaffolding as well as you can see some of the problems with the sign.
Just Broadway and
Yep.
Yeah, Broadway and Fulton.
You see the lights that are out?
Mm.
It just looks kind of worn out and do something, you know, more scaffolding, which has been sheltering the homeless.
it's not shared pictures of homeless people.
And you can see here the signs out for the Fulton Center itself, the C and the E are kind of missing.
Mm.
It just looks run down. Shouldn't they be maintaining this? I mean, the MTA.
Well, I don't think this is MTA. I think this is Westfield. It's Westfield, it's not Brookfield, and it's not MTA. That's part of the problems that we struggle with here is,
The money's
And they're in
different.
litigation right now.
and they're in litigation, so, thank you.
So,
I mean, we can report everything. We can do a letter to MTA. We can urge everything, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like,
Is MTA the one that's
MTA.
in contract with Westfield?
Yeah, they rent.
And they're suing each
So it
other?
sounds like we don't need a resolution, we would, sounds like maybe we need a letter, have we ever written a
Well,
letter?
that's what Tammy just said.
that's what I'm saying. I think we can vote on putting all of this in a letter to the MTA and to the mayor's office,
Yeah.
requesting that the mayor's office work with MTA. The problem is there's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Westfield wants to get out of their contract. Then MTA says they didn't abide by what they should have and they haven't done what they should have. And I mean, it's been well publicized. The scaffolding is the scaffolding is the scaffolding. But the light bulbs, the lights and everything else are directly reflected of Westfield's refusal to put more money into the asset that they no longer want to hold.
Mm.
Although if it's also going to the city, you could still ask them to look into
Yeah.
I
the
think that
scaffolding and at least getting the work done. or
I
something.
think that it's a multiple layer that, I mean, it's like Jess said, there's a lawsuit, so we're kind of in the,
There is, but our position, we're only advocates for the community.
yeah,
Simply we would sell 250 and the people coming and all these tourists coming in, why do we have to look like this bad when we're pushing everyone to take mass transit?
I mean, I think that like the MTA is already doing like way more than we would even ask to do. They're literally taking them to court.
Yep.
To do what they're supposed to do. So there's really not much more you can do.
No, we're not talking about a resolution.
Yeah.
We've already said that.
Yeah.
because I don't think a resolution is gonna help
Go
us.
after the right people. But if you write a
Is,
letter,
it sounds like the question is a letter worthwhile right now? Yeah, are they going to read it or hear it?
mayor's office might.
I mean, a letter is state though. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, file a letter in a lawsuit.
I know that, but let the mayor argue
Could,
to clean up his neighborhood.
I actually
Just
don't
what
think
the-
that's a bad idea.
yeah. I mean,
I like what Jess said, because I think,
What do you think?
repeat it louder, please, for the audience in the back.
A lawsuit, like a letter or something.
Amicus brief
Might have
or.
to-
Amicus brief sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if you could. I don't know what the status of it is, what court it's in.
We could do that as
Have
community,
to-
part of community board?
I don't
We'd
know.
have to get permission probably. from the
You
judge
have to get
sign.
permission from the legal counsel because,
They probably have to write it.
yeah. But I mean, I think that part of the problem is with anything that decays that's in legal status is, you know, we're not even a flea on this dog,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and that's the way that the two entities. You know, the question I guess for the table is, do you want to send a letter to the mayor that says, this is your backyard, this is a symbol, please, you know, we urge, and to the governor, we urge the two of you to come together to work with MTA. They managed to do it for other things, like congestion pricing,
Yeah.
so why can't we get this
Seems
fixed?
like if we are, sorry. People have their hand raised.
Maybe the MTA guy should.
Well, look, Jess, I heard what you said. No, the MTA has not done enough on this because, yes, Westfield is the leaseholder of it, but they're still the property owner.
Yeah.
And if it's decaying in front of us, you know, looking, in disrepair, they have a responsibility.
Because then they can try to get the money out of Westfield.
Right, I mean,
Good luck.
so the litigation is something that they're in the quagmire, but they still need to be responsible, the shared responsibility, and litigation doesn't mean that their responsibility stops. Whether it's doing it themselves, or hiring another vendor to do it and building maybe Westfield later, or pushing and not allowing this lawsuit to be in limbo. Because it's an embarrassment when tourists come by. And unfortunately, they built this at a time when retail was really sought after. And then everything changed in the last 15 years, and the way it was built, it's so dark. Pardon, this is my, okay, yeah, so it's not desirable as a retail location, so, but they gotta change it. They're still the landlord, basically, that's it. Yeah.
But do you agree with going the route of a letter?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Yeah, first the
Yeah.
resolution, so we're
Yes.
still not voting, but
Can,
that's
can
kind of
I,
where I'm.
could I
Go
just
down, Rosa.
interject with
Go down,
something?
Rosa.
Because I passed by
Rosa,
this
Rosa,
building so
Rosa,
many times.
Rosa,
Yeah.
Rosa. There's other
Yeah.
people in the room that had their hand raised
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
my
see
hand's
your
been
hand.
raised forever.
I know,
Yeah.
but Cody had his hand raised too.
Okay.
Yes, but-
Me too.
Sorry, Betty.
Comment.
Sorry, Betty, are you calling on Cody?
I mean, at the time when it was built, it was such a, symbol of rebuilding and resilience. And now it is, it was kind of a boondoggle a lot, too. For some building it, but
750 million.
so like for this to be like sitting decaying in front of us is really symbolic and.
Sad, yeah.
Yeah, Justine and then Rosa.
Yep, I have a quick question. Just, I'm supporting what you're deciding to do with the letter. Question about the scaffolding piece of it. Isn't there some legislation someplace or something about scaffolding and trying to get them to get the scaffolding taken down? Was that in city council? Because that,
No, Mayor Adams was
Adams
pushing
was pushing.
something with the DOB.
They did, yeah.
I
they
thought
did pass
something did
legislation.
pass.
Still needs to be action by.
Action by it. So that would be something, and maybe that's a different topic.
Zach can,
I don't know if that.
They're not, I mean, going from, a city agency pushing the state, like the state will just be like.
No, I mean, not necessarily,
The city isn't gonna take over the site and then fix the building for the state. Like,
no, I hear you. I'm speaking specifically
I
to the
think that's like the
scaffolding
big
and
one.
beyond just here. And so you're saying,
So I think the recourse is that if there's like scaffolding that's been up too long, the proposed recourse is that the city then takes over the repair.
And they're not going to for a state.
And so they wouldn't do that.
they wouldn't do it for this.
No.
correct, because you're asking the city to take over a property owned by the state. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's.
Wait,
that's-
let's
Scaffolding's
that sounds
been
like
up
the
for
hardest
25
route
years.
to take.
Wow.
go to Rosa.
Thank you. So I pass by here all the time and I pass by it multiple times today. The homelessness issue that sort of stems from here, like when Eric says decay, it's sort of like it's like the center of the sore and everything spreading out from it is just bad, where it is there is so much homelessness that's directly on of all the streets alongside here. There is a lot of, I guess, panhandling, but there's a lot of things. And I think that for me, the issue is that at its core, the center itself is in such disrepair that it invites this disuse in the community. I'm not sure quite how to verbalize it, but it is insane to me that they can't even change the light bulbs. When you go in here to utilize this, as I was today, it is dark. More than 50% of the light bulbs are out all the time. I mean, why can't they change a light bulb? There are basic maintenance needs that are not being met. Glass is smashed all the time on the doors. It's an embarrassment, but it's also a safety issue in the community.
So again, I think to Rose's point, that's, you have to, we can't lump everything together. We have to sort of attack it where it is. If the scaffolding is local 11 and they haven't done anything about it, that's local 11. The homeless are there because it's the most highly trafficked location. It's a great place for panhandling. And there's lots of traffic. I mean, it's,
There because it's a warm place,
And it's
they are
warm.
at any transit place.
There's
Yeah.
support services there too.
Yeah.
But that's why if you look at the wording, and again, you'll have access to the slides as well, Zach. The person had proposed very much more about safety and they aren't asking that the homeless remove, they didn't address any of those issues. They did a very narrow path towards, let's make it not look so run down, the physical structure.
interesting proposed, therefore be it resolved. But I'm not I mean, that's up to MTA where they allocate their funds, right?
You can ask them.
MTA,
We're asking to clean up the.
I don't mind asking them, yeah.
we don't mind asking them, they have money, it was one of those things where they announced today the Chamber Street upgrades to the City Hall, Chamber Street.
Well,
The JMZ
So long as,
Yeah.
so long as they're suing
desperately.
Westfield to get them to do what they're supposed to do, they're not gonna go in and do
Agreed.
it themselves, that's ceding their entire
Case.
case. So there needs to be pressure put on Westfield or to do what they're supposed to do, or hope that they win the lawsuit.
So you're saying don't have a letter to the mayor and the governor saying,
No, I mean, I think,
work with these people to get something done, because this just looks.
a letter to the mayor and the governor just saying to pay
Please be
attention to
aware.
it,
Yeah, please be aware. You may not be aware, but we are as a community.
tweet about
That
it.
this is, that this transportation hub, which was sort of the, the rebirth of Lower Manhattan post 9/11 has.
Well, it's gonna be on a showcase this summer.
Okay,
I think you should go to the MTA.
Well, you can see the MTA on it, I mean.
Oh,
It should be addressed to the MTA.
So unpopular opinion, I don't feel like this is worthwhile. Because to be honest, one, we're talking about doing this by July 2026. That just ain't gonna happen. And then we have a lot of things that we are asking, and it seems like we are using our political capital as community board for something that's not gonna happen, whereas we know that we have many things that we're asking from our community that we want to be supported by this new administration. And this seems like low hanging fruit, but it's not gonna happen, especially because it's in legislation. And so like, shouldn't we be writing a letter, shouldn't we be writing resolutions about other things that we know are important to our community that we see as potentially having impact to our community versus, and one, I wanna also be on record, like, I don't want to refer to people in homelessness as a sore, like, these are people. And I know you weren't trying to be offensive, Rosa, but like, I think there's probably a better analogy for this, but
I
like,
was referring to the Fulton Center as the SOAR.
because it's full of people that are unhoused and the humans that are around it, that it's, so, but again, Rose, I'm not accusing you of being offensive, I'm just saying, like, I think there's better language. But like, I just don't think that this is not where we should use our political capital as a community board for, especially as like one of our first letters to this new administration. Just my opinion.
that's
I agree with
well said.
Yeah, that's a good point, but
My nails are kicking in, but also,
Well, I was gonna say, that seems to be kind of a general consensus, am I correct? I see people nodding in agreement.
I mean,
that's for you.
It is gonna go to Tammy anyway, not me, but-
I
I don't know if I agree with you
Yeah,
because.
I think that we can nudge MTA. I think it is the MTA ultimately who
we
owns.
have even less political capital with MTA as a state agency.
Yeah.
Is it upon us to still, if we're gonna be advocates for our community, is it still necessary? Do we write a lot of pretty trivial resolutions?
So why wouldn't we do a letter to the governor and the head of the MTA? To
you. Send it to Jano.
send it to Jano and send it to Hochul, because it's an election year.
Yeah, there you go.
Saying, we on the bottom of the ladder can't even see to get to the top of the ladder because the light bulbs are out, kind of a
Yeah, yeah.
letter.
But
And
we
say,
can't, but then we can't use things like FIBA or World Cup and stuff, because it's
No.
not gonna happen by then.
well, we could say that we are excited about the opportunities that New York has in the celebration of America 250 in the World Cup, and we would like to ensure that the base needs for humanity are taken care of.
Yeah, humanity, safety.
What do we think of
and-
that?
Yeah, the only premise I wanna push back on is that a letter is somehow more powerful than a resolution, because I don't think that's true. I think a voted on, with a voted record, resolution is always gonna be more powerful. Letters are more versatile in various ways, but I think resolutions are like your real
I think-
power.
I think it doesn't go to the mayor because the mayor's got
I agree.
he's got enough to do. Let's let him get up and running.
Resolution to the MTA.
Yeah,
Can we go back to the list of issues for a second? Thank you.
Again,
Lighting.
So
I
the
think
scaffolding, that's MTA, right?
that's local law 11. That's DOB and MTA. That's DOB in Westfield. It's
MTA.
Westfield. It's not MTA. Because Westfield is the leaseor of the building, much like in Battery Park City. Battery Park City owns the land, but the building is whoever the building in local law 11 is not.
Yeah.
In the Corbin building?
Yeah. The whole thing.
Westfield has that too.
I believe so. Because it's all
I'm not sure.
connected.
It's one lot.
It's one, actually, the Corbin building was separate, but the agreement to demolish everything for Fulton Center was retaining Corbin and then connecting it. I remember all those lovely landmark meetings. So
Lighting should be
you
replaced.
might as well just send it all in one, but I don't think that that's our primary. I think the reality of what we're asking for the board to go to MTA is for the lighting, right? To fix the maintenance issues, like, let's concentrate on the maintenance issues.
And that's what this is only. It's basically saying spruce it up or fix it up so that it's not, so it's presentable.
So
It's safety.
Yeah, it's safety and, yeah, no, it is.
And the repairs scaffolding is not really, well, it is repairs, they could take the scaffolding.
That would be nice if
So
they would do it, but
sounds like we would want to do a resolution because that is powerful to what the MTA and the governor's office. What I would recommend is maybe doing it for February so that we can have as many details for our whereases as possible. That's my way of getting out of here in a reasonable time. Because I don't think we're gonna resolve all of those tonight. Or have our full list tonight of everything.
those are a pretty
I
good
think-
list right there.
I think that list is pretty good. I think we
You have
could
more?
modify it. But that's a maintenance, that's an RNM,
Yeah,
repair and maintenance, that's all we're looking for.
and that's what that is. And that seems to be
And
it.
the scaffolding, I think, goes down to the bottom with a line that says, if this is related to local law 11, please get the building done, if not. Get rid of the scaffolding.
Yeah.
Are all of the escalators working there? I seem to think there's been one that's been down for like years, right?
There was one thing the captain said was, she was over there and ran into, Springer Torres and he was bothered by it too. And I said, well, if he can't get it fixed, who can?
Yeah.
And he did get it fixed.
Oh, so it's fixed. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, because I don't
There you
remember
go.
one being down for.
There was one that
A
was
good
down for a
while.
really long time, and it was in the, related to where the historic parts were.
Mm.
And so they have to get behind some of the, it was.
Oh,
that-
So we're gonna go with the resolution, we're gonna go with this list, we're gonna add a line about local law 11.
About the scaffolding.
Scaffolding at the bottom.
Whereas, so that.
Yeah, it's all whereas.
And then we're sending this off, that resolution off to governor's office and,
The
MTA.
MTA, but
Did you want to call the question?
well, look at your therefore be it resolved, because I don't think,
Next up.
I don't think I don't believe we would want to target one budget line of income that they have to solve this. And
Oh, I see.
I think that it's just fix it.
Therefore, be it
Can we go
resolved.
to the next?
Yeah, go to
Yeah.
the next one.
Here where they have the money come.
Yeah. Huh. Just wanna-
There it is.
Yeah, no.
Okay, just how about they just fix it? So it's
Yeah.
basically, yeah, so we don't say where it comes from, but we want to fix.
Sure.
And if you want to address before the 250 and the
We
World
can say
Cup,
we
that's
have
fine.
Major events coming
Yeah.
up, including America's 250, et cetera, et cetera.
Return of, we can use the Downtown Alliance's return of tourism statistics.
Yeah,
Zach, we can use the return of tourism from the Downtown Alliance's statistics that they just gave to show the rise and why it's needed beyond that and the recovery and revitalization of Lower Manhattan. We need this.
mm-hmm. But yeah, otherwise,
Okay, so
yeah,
this is really, therefore be it resolved, be voting on would be a very straightforward.
Yes.
yeah.
We're simply asking that the news repairs.
Fix it.
be done.
Yes.
Fix it.
Yeah, basically, yeah, fix it. Oh, wait, go ahead. Ask your question before I say.
Is this also sent to the state?
Yes.
Legislature, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
legislature as well. Yeah.
All right.
So then I'll second the question. The calling, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
Zach, ready? That took him a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any nays? Are there any recusals?
You have to.
One name, one name. Are there?
One recusal, he's recusing.
Oh, of course.
Eric.
Yeah.
Refusal.
No, they're different. He's not refusing, he voted. Recusal.
Our parliamentarian is using the proper decorum.
And then I assume everyone else will say yes. So, thank you.
Thank you.
See, y'all think y'all are done, but there are more slides coming. I am.
You're out. Say, you're out. All right.
My final, you don't have to see.
Yeah, come on, hit me.
There's a lot of stuff going on this past week. I won't skip it all. We have lots of,
It's astounding how busy the city was in the last 30 days.
so much stuff is going on.
So much.
Bye.
Bye, Brendan.
Yeah, no, people don't want to hear it, so I'll let people move along so they can move along.
That's been well publicized.
Court charts of that?
Yeah, serious injuries. I finally found out exactly what the definition of that is.
Oh, what is it?
Keep going, and one or two you'll see it. There it is. The second part. Loss of limb, organ, or fetus, or a hospital stay of greater than 90 days. That was more severe than I thought. So I've read others where they say, oh, it's broken limbs, and it's not. It's more severe than I thought.
Loss of a limb, yeah, but not broken. Interesting.
Right. So people realize when they talk about killed and seriously injured, which they only put into statistic collection in 2022, which is why prior to that, you only see killed in accidents. They didn't count anything.
So if you get run over by the expression run over by a bus, right? That's just an expression, not saying that our buses, I love buses. But, and your legs are broken,
It's not a.
you're not seriously
Yeah.
injured.
How much of a?
Unless you're in the hospital for 90 days.
If you're in
right?
hospital for 90 days, which is very severe. But if you're a crushed injury, as they, but the legs crushed isn't.
A pleasant
Believe me,
thing.
I was a physical therapist in this area, trust me.
He's like,
But in many of those cases, the pelvis also gets affected and now you're moving to a longer time.
Yeah.
Especially for older people.
your organs are supposed to be outside your body.
Oh, these are very serious. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're very serious. I want people to realize they are.
Very
They
serious.
also realize how many people are seriously injured.
Yeah.
But aren't these numbers down year over year?
This was up,
Oh,
it
keep
just
going.
said.
Did you see the graph?
I-
I need the
They're
control.
up.
See the control, they're up this year from all the
That's
other.
what that, yeah, the word said. 940.
That's in 1 quarter.
Oh.
That's in 1 quarter. These are each 1 quarter. What they're talking about is the third quarter for some reason is the highest number in every single year.
That does make sense.
Oh,
It's
that's what it says in
consistent
the
for
fall.
weather and everybody's here. It's least
Well, not
high
for-
tourist season.
No, our high season for injuries and rehabilitation is Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Oh.
Oh, and that's where all the burn injuries, yeah.
That's
where the
Q3.
explosion acts.
That's part of Q3.
No, it's
September.
July.
Two.
Two.
October, November, December is Q4. Yeah, unless they're going by,
Well, it starts in May and runs.
they're
so
going
it-
fiscal year, not calendar year.
Calendar.
I think they're using.
If
cal-
that's calendar, if that's calendar year, then
July
that's,
1 to
that's
September 30.
July, that's July, August, September.
Right, and May doesn't fall in that, neither does June, and those are
Yeah.
the months. For the trauma, they're very big.
Yeah.
Because again, once people have their boats and people have their, going out in lawnmowers when they drive over their feet with the lawnmowers.
This is in New York City.
It's interesting because,
Trust me, we have the same internationally, I've.
yeah, but if you look to it's Q1 and 2 were down from 24 and Q3 was up. I'm curious to see what Q4 is. Maybe it'll be down too. It'll be an unusual just Q3. That'd be a nice bond. Optimism.
No reason to suspect it, but yeah, but anyway, just to realize just how many there are, when people point at e-bikes, realize just what's happening with accidents in general. And the trajectory this year is not particularly good, so I don't.
I might say that's the rise in cargo.
Yeah, right, there you go. 1,000 cardboard.
And this one's kind of quirky, so I put this in. Did you know if you took a Silverado, but you compare it to an e-Silverado, the battery weighs so much, it's like putting a whole defensive line in the truck.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's how much more the truck weighs. The Silverado that's electric versus Silverado that's not electric.
It's better gas mileage.
Right, it does, even though the weight.
But
Good
don't
point.
even know why I watch MIT initiatives. No, they had these quirky statistics. They had statistics out the wazoo, and this was under Larry Burns talking about.
This is very funny, but yeah.
Keep going.
It was this one, not
Bunch of jets.
We don't want
this
to talk
one.
about that.
Larry Burns can take whatever he wants when he does it. This one. He's gonna rip it off. Also, I want to
Yep.
point out to people to realize with the expanding size of vehicles, in fact, about almost 10%, 9.3% of parking spaces have disappeared because the vehicles are getting bigger.
Mhm.
People wonder why things are getting worse over time. That's just no
point.
quirky statistic that I see.
You can see that for higher vehicles. That's a
And
major.
That's why some, and I want to hear from you in the future if you want to deal with this issue. But for instance, the Montreal mayor is looking at a war on, but going after SUVs and other bigger vehicles, shouldn't they be paying more to register? Because they're taking up more
But do
space.
they? They might.
Not in New York.
Not in New York? Oh,
I think they just like them.
I don't think so.
I know they pay bigger, more to park.
No, passenger, they're a passenger vehicle, like they're light, they're SUV, it's still the same.
Right.
There was bills asking for this.
Yeah.
I do
Right,
remember
so the
that.
question is, do we pursue that kind of route for those who are after parking all the time?
They already pay more fees if they're parking in garages. You pay significant more fees.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. They're
And-
public
and-
health people.
Correct, but what I'm
Correct.
saying is, it is more expensive to own those vehicles in New York City if they have to park indoors. For the outdoors, the spaces are, we are the highest parking metered rated anywhere in the city.
Lower,
Lower
CB1,
Manhattan,
yeah.
CB1. So I mean,
If nobody wants to go to bigger vehicles because you're really happy with the amount of parking,
no, I
just
mean,
offering.
I hear it, I just think it's. I think
They
it's a
call
lot
it
of,
It doesn't matter. That's
a
it.
lot of fees.
And other changes, points over an 18-month period versus 10 points over a 2-year period. And go next, you'll see some of the changes. Now, speeding over 10 miles per hour will go from 3 to 4 points. Cell phone use behind the wheel from 5 to 6 points. Reckless driving from 5 to 8 points. Certain traffic violations are being added. So if you're driving with a broken tail light or blown headlight, you get 1 point. If you're taking an illegal U-turn, you'll get 2 points. Things that didn't use to
You
get
got a
points.
warning
Can I,
with the
can I park a
tail?
beach chair at the corner of Liberty Street and just get all the illegal U-turners?
Yeah, right?
So many
This is
you
good.
can do that.
But just up here now.
It's automated.
But a broken tail is
Cameras or-
no,
No,
no, tail light's
they're
broken.
violations, period, but.
You want a
most of them
warning
are-
once to say, hey, fix, you know, but they have to wake you
Yes.
up.
They're not.
They don't count against licenses, no.
No,
So this means
Which
you
is also kind
can,
of
you
weird.
can speed, you can get caught speeding
On a camera.
twice, the third time, you get suspended.
And 70% of people with suspended licenses drive anyway in New York. Okay,
So pretty
next. Affordability, so that, yeah, this is also becoming an issue, so there've been a lot of questions about what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they're just getting more expensive, as is insurance is getting more expensive, as is parking is getting more expensive. So we are starting to see a shift in how many people can afford to own a vehicle anyway. Next. So we see, Chicago wins most traffic congestion.
Good.
Well, they, multiple times in the past anyway, trust me, it's not any
Good.
different. They commuted there for many years. Next.
Waymo, yeah, I'm a little scared of those Waymo.
Oh, there's a lot of things with Waymo that are kind of interesting. But anyway, it's been extended until March 31st, so it was supposed to end at the end of December. It's been extended for 3 months. The DOT license to work here. Next,
Where are they operating right
Manhattan and part of downtown Brooklyn.
I'm
And they're just collecting data, they're not taking passengers.
And their
They
driver
could run
system.
you over you.
They're
Yes.
assisted, but they're just
Oh,
scoping out the field, there are no passengers
That's-
in there. So
but
that's
there's a
not part
driver
of-
there, so they're not unmanned.
Correct, no, right on that.
yeah.
Correct. So anyway, that's the current permit that's underway. Next. And for those who may have seen, this is Jonathan Slatkin, who is a physician, and he had a bunch of op-eds out there about all the safety data coming out that was positive from Waymo. Part of the next, it'll be easier for them to see. It was released with nearly 100 million miles of driverless vehicle data. 91% fewer crashes, which is very real in some ways. And his point is this is a public health story,
Yeah.
but I just saw it anyway. MIT Initiative took this one on to. Next. Waymo is now programming to drive less safe.
Yeah.
Nah, I read that, yeah.
We're so safe, like, screw that.
Oh, wait, there's some issues with it, which we just make you chuckle when you go to, since you weren't in San Francisco. If you were in San Francisco, you wouldn't be chuckling, you'd be saying, next. Allowing them to do illegal U-turns and lane switching and things like crosswalks, and these are things that have been so-called cited. But Waymo zigzagging between lanes and high-speed chicken, these are things that so-called been observed.
In New York.
Waymo, no, they're not in New York. They're in San Francisco and they're all the other cities they are.
No, I
operating
understand that. I thought this is this related to
This
the
is the
pilot?
this is the 100 million miles,
Okay.
100 million miles.
Maybe
And
the
it's,
result of effort,
what
okay.
Waymo is called, it is making them confidently assertive, which you're gonna find out when you see what happened in San Francisco.
Oh my God.
Next slide.
So you can see the drawbacks. Next one. So this is why Waymo got stuck in traffic when all the traffic lights went out. Because when the traffic lights, they treated it as a four-way stop, and they
Okay.
stopped, but there was nothing to trigger them to go, because the other people weren't going. So all the traffic stopped in San Francisco, when the traffic lights went out.
So wasteful.
It's so frustrating.
Because they're, so we get into the drivers that are there, because they have them in San Francisco as well, in most cases. The problem was the delay time, when people passengers noted this problem, told the person doesn't have control over driving the car. They have to contact and send a trigger electronically,
Call me on Musk.
tell them what to do. And then all those systems went down for Waymo because they were so overloaded due to the delays. That's why these huge delays made it look like nothing was moving. 'Cause
Oh my
it was
God.
so delayed.
I'm just gonna say, everything that we talk about on this line, I struggle with, because I'm a family of 5. You cannot fit a family of 5 in a Waymo. You cannot fit a family, you used to be able to, depending on the size of your kids, get into like the minivan cabs,
Yeah.
but otherwise you can't. And like, when you gotta go to a doctor and there's no convenient way to get there, et cetera, if it's gonna take you to get to your doctor an hour and 20 minutes by transit, or it's gonna take you 25 by a car, you're taking a car. When you're with,
Or.
or you're taking a or you're taking a for-hire vehicle, because it's just, if you're one person traveling with 3 children to get to a doctor, or 2 people, it's not easy. And I struggle with the way that we look at our transportation to make it easy and fast, and don't consider the fact that we're not actually looking at all users in transit in terms of like families, right?
That's why I'm talking about all users, and I'm saying there are a lot of people who can't afford a car and they can't afford.
Can't afford a
Lyft or-
taxi, yeah, exactly, it's expensive.
And
You're
they
stuck.
move, and they move
Mhm.
out of Manhattan and out of the city. The largest loss that we have right now, according to the data that was released, was middle-income families.
Yeah, because they can't make it.
But not all, but anyway. Side hustle, you want it, this is another kind of funny one. Waymo is paying $20 if they'll close the doors. Don't, and in fact, the vehicle can't, the door stays open, it can't close itself. So it's kind of cute. Anyway, that's Won't close their own doors, I don't know why. California DMV they're going after Tesla because they can't call themselves autopilot, because they're not really autopilots. Truth and honesty in advertising, next. With them. Did you know that 9,500 truck drivers have lost their licenses, can't drive, because they don't have adequate English? That was recently passed by Secretary John Duffy from the feds. So there is a problem now with truck drivers as well, because they have recently changed English language requirements for all drivers.
Wow.
That's
They can follow
signed in early March.
Google though, can't they?
Next, 40 recommendations, and now we're back to e-votals and eVTOLs, and we're in air. Yeah. And this is a new model that's coming out as well. All different styles, so you realize they don't all look like helicopters. They can
Just
look kind of.
build a train.
Yeah, right, build tracks, exactly, that will go across the country, it would be so much better.
Well, these are my short distances, so
Ah.
most of them don't go more than 100 miles.
Huh?
Next, they don't have range.
Yeah.
Exactly. But anyway, what they're looking at for timeframe is 2027 will be potentially licensing for the first to be able to fly. By 2030, they want to be more robust. And by 2035, then they're looking for exciting use cases, which includes unmanned. These would be fully autonomous passenger carrying flights. So you can see what's coming. Next. Curiosity, so you know what's going on. $100 cabs to the airport?
Yes.
Well,
Please.
talking about expensive
Yeah,
cabs.
I saw that.
Next. Yeah, and part of it is the Port Authority upping their fees.
Yeah.
Because they charge the drivers, right?
Yeah, to pick up and drop offs. Next. Yeah, and they get a lot of cars going there. But they're saying, look at the driver services we're going to have out there in the parking lots where they're waiting.
And which is nice for the drivers,
Nice,
but
but
what about
it's
the
a lot of money.
passengers? It's expensive.
It's getting ridiculously expensive. Next, given that there's no boat or train service. Cities, this is good news, but anyway, getting ready for the World Cup rush hour. Next. Look at, since we're gonna have 3 of them along the Northeast Corridor, that will put some taxing on the Amtrak, is what this was about. Next.
Who's it?
So New Jersey Transit is where the next look, and they admit this is the weak point in this application for MetLife Stadium in the first place. They looked at the Super Bowl in 2014. If you go to the next one, it was a transportation nightmare at that time.
It was.
And that's kind of what it looked like waiting for it. So this was the people who chose to take trains, subway. The people taking buses wasn't a whole lot different. They had, well, I think the next one talks about that.
Because you were sitting on a chair.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
You were, but the other
The
people
traffic was
realized
horrible, yeah.
this was supposed to be. And they took a lane of the Lincoln Tunnel. Will they do Lincoln and Holland? We don't know what they're gonna do. The MTA hasn't said anything yet about what's gonna happen. But there was confusion there as well. The buses are being lined up to do this. Nevertheless, the fees, I think they were $51, and this was back in 14. This was 12 years ago. And they sold out in less than
Can't they make the ferries work better?
Yeah.
But we'll see what the plan is.
Damn MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
They probably have more ferries now than they did in 2014. It should be
Yes.
a.
Okay, they had 9 boarding locations back then, and they were $51 round trip, so again, this can be an expensive trip too. And they sold out early in the week, so people at the last minute, I don't know what they're gonna.
Subway, that's it.
Yeah, so anyway, so next. I bet you get a kick out of this. These are some of the tickets being sold. Going for, you get one final round trip and you get one.
24,000,
Almost
25,000.
$25,000.
Oh my God.
$25,000.
To come here. Oh my
Well,
God.
Okay, but
sorry, just one way here.
Hotel flight.
This is just to fly from the
Yeah.
the
You do
semifinal.
get 8 nights in a hotel. You do get 8 nights in a hotel for your $24,000.
But this doesn't include the transfers to the airport, to the event itself.
No.
So once you realize what kind of money transfers.
Get 2 return match day transfers. You get 2. I get
That's
2
that's
tickets.
25,000, so it's 50,000 for a couple.
Yeah.
So these people will have their tickets in advance to take the bus or the subway.
Wow.
But keep in mind, it's gonna be out there, people with paying $25,000 sitting next to you on the subway
On the-
saying,
What the hell is going on? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Sorry.
City and spend a lot of money.
Hopefully they will. Or they've spent it all before they got here.
This becomes, I spent so much to get here,
That's right.
keep in mind, this has been going on for about 6 weeks in our region. That this will be going on.
oh, look, we're
The
back.
Car sharing accelerates, which is kind of interesting, because there's increases, but in fact, in London, the community car share that's going on, that Avis owns, is actually leaving London, and they're losing their last car share program. So you can probably ask the DOT how the one here is going, because it's the same, one of the ownerships is the same.
So
So it's kind
was
of
that like Zipcar? Is that what it
It was
was?
Zipcar with exactly the one that's leaving London.
How is Zipcar going here?
Well, that's something we should probably ask.
Actually, no, I would have to ask.
Yeah, so probably, if people are interested, let's have them come in and do it.
Yeah, that would be interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Who are the ones that take the parking spaces? Zipcar?
Well, there are 3 different partners, but one of them is Zipcar.
Okay, yeah.
Well, they like this thing I go on.
I would say that again.
Come on, let 'em.
I don't know about this message that you gave us here.
Yeah, no, that guy's not he's
feel-
fallen.
Wow.
Well, I guess that's is the glass half empty or half full?
But let's see what 2020
Yes.
take us. Now that we're gonna have Mike Flynn as our new DOT commissioner.
Mhm.
And we have it in there, with him on Danielle staying.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, God.
So next year's gonna be a journey.